Chapter 204. December 25th, early morning. Temporary event ended. Calculating. Player kissed Miki Kujo and Mayasahi. Acquired. 1-month mastery level skill authorization *1. Acquired. Normal New Year gift package *1. Player open New Year gift package. 888 million renminbi New Year gift. 50% discount voucher *1. 50% discount voucher *1. December 25th. Early morning. Toru Watanabe ran through an alley in the residential area and sat on the steps in front of the Suga shrine. While eating a sandwich and drinking milk, he looked at the balcony of a house on his right. The balcony was full of potted plants. The potted plants were small and looked very delicate. Obviously, they were taken care of. Not long after, the 3 old women who were doing morning exercises walked over at the speed of a race. "Come on, Japan's future depends on you." They kept walking and said to Toru Watanabe, "Of course. Thank you." Toru Watanabe turned his head and waved his hand to thank them. They didn't know when it started, probably when they saw him running on a rainy day, but they thought that Toru Watanabe was an athlete. When Toru Watanabe left, in the Suga shrine, the priest began to clean the snow on the path. When he returned to his rented apartment and took a shower, it was already 7 o'clock. There was still some time before the appointment with Rin Kiyono at 9 o'clock. Toru Watanabe prepared to meet Miki Kujo. On the way to the villa, he looked at the street lights on the trees. It was romantic last night, but it was an eyesore during the day. "You actually woke up?" Toru Watanabe was surprised to see Miki Kujo, who was neatly dressed. They had slept together for so long, but he had never seen Miki Kujo wake up so early. No, it was the Monday after the Imperial Tea event. He deliberately went to school early and met Kujo, who was accompanied by bodyguards. "Didn't you have a ticket for 7 o'clock? Why are you here?" Without waiting for Toru Watanabe to answer, Miki Kujo said, "Forget it, follow me." The two of them got into the luxurious car. "Where are we going?" Toru Watanabe asked. Miki Kujo sipped her coffee. "Head office." Although Toru Watanabe wondered why he had to go to the company, he had more important things to do now. "Miki." He hugged Miki Kujo's pantyhose feet and massaged her thighs. Miki Kujo looked up and glanced at him. She placed the coffee cup on the small table in the middle of the armrest and massaged her forehead as if she had not slept well. She closed her eyes and said, "Speak, what's the matter?" Last night." Toru Watanabe tried his best to explain how Rin Kiyono would be going to Iwate Prefecture to celebrate the New Year with Miki Kujo. The car fell into silence. Robot Shizuru looked at Toru Watanabe as if she was looking at a dead man. Toru Watanabe gently kneaded Miki Kujo's beautiful legs and tapped them from time to time. The car drove past Tsukiji Market. Miki Kujo suddenly opened her white and tender right hand. "Give me the gun." "Miki. Shut up for this young lady." Shizuru took out the gun, removed the safety and placed it in Miki Kujo's hand. Miki Kujo retracted her legs from Toru Watanabe's arms. She stood up and knelt on the seat between Toru Watanabe's legs. Her left hand grabbed his collar and the gun in her right hand was pressed against his temple. "Once or twice. Do you really think I won't dare to kill you?" "No, Miki, listen to me. I was just saying it casually. I was just complaining." "Complaining?" Miki Kujo's voice was cold. "Are you not going to refuse? Do you need me to teach you?" Toru Watanabe's eyes were on Miki Kujo's chest. He glanced at the gun on his temple. Question: Is it a real gun? Answer: 1000% question. Is it dangerous? Answer: hard to say. Question: Are you sure you can take it? Answer: yes. Question: Then, after taking the gun, how will Miki Kujo react? Answer: Toru Watanabe didn't even dare to think about it. Miki, listen to me. It's definitely not what you think. You want to quibble again? Heh. In Toru Watanabe's understanding, this sentence was full of murderous intent. Spit it out if you have something to say. Kiyono said that people like her are not welcome at events like the Lunar New Year. At this time, as a friend, she wants to come to my house for the Lunar New Year. Can I refuse? There's no reason to refuse, Mickey. Don't you think so? No reason to refuse? If I want to kill you now, do you have a reason to refuse? Yes. Miki Kujo's lips curled into a smile that said, let's see what else you can say. Of course, trying to find warmth from this smile was better than hoping for a Gundam to fly down from the sky. In order to prove that I don't intend to do anything to Kiyono, I came to tell you. Where do you want to bury the body? Wait. I'm not done yet. Toru Watanabe could only use his trump card. Mickey, I'm here to invite you to go back with me. I want you to meet my parents. Miki Kujo carefully looked at Toru Watanabe for a few minutes before pushing him away. She opened her hand and Shirlu carefully took the gun and immediately turned off the safety. Miki Kujo sat back in her seat and leaned back. Her hands were on the center armrest and her feet were naturally crossed. When other couples quarrel, they would at most fight. Why do we have to use guns? Toru Watanabe complained in a tone that sounded like he had just survived a disaster. Miki Kujo snorted coldly as if saying, "You're already lucky." She closed her eyes and didn't say anything. Shirlu didn't know why, but she looked at Toru Watanabe with a slightly surprised and admiring look. 10 minutes later, the car stopped in front of the company. The three of them got off the car. Miki Kujo walked in front while Toru Watanabe and Shirlu followed behind her. "Miss Master, good morning." "Miss Master." Along the way, the company employees bowed and greeted them. They took the elevator and didn't go to the office on the top floor. Instead, they went to the conference floor. As soon as they got out of the elevator, a shrewd-looking middle-aged woman walked to Miki Kujo with a pile of documents. "Miss, everyone is here." Miki Kujo casually said, "Okay." When they came to a large conference room with double doors, Shirlu stopped and stood guard at the door. Toru Watanabe also stopped and prepared to sit in the lounge area at the entrance of the conference room. He wanted to text Rin Kiyono about the situation here. "What are you doing?" Looking at Miki Kujo's sharp eyes, Toru Watanabe asked tentatively, "Should I go in too?" Miki Kujo didn't answer and walked into the door opened by the middle-aged woman. Toru Watanabe had to follow. When he passed by the middle-aged woman, he softly thanked her. The middle-aged woman bowed her head to him. The conference room was as large as an auditorium. The ceiling was high and ornate, and the floor was covered with an expensive carpet embroidered with Kujo rattan. In the middle of the conference room, there was a long table that could seat dozens of people. The heavy office chairs were also black. The chairs were already filled with people, all of them middle-aged or older, wearing suits and leather shoes. At this time, they all stood up and bowed in the direction of Miki Kujo. Miki Kujo walked to the head of the table and sat down in the position that symbolized the president. On the wall behind her, there was a huge sculpture of Kujo rattan. "Sit." "Yes." Everyone sat down in unison. At this time, Toru Watanabe was only halfway in. He wanted to see how the middle-aged woman would sit, but she kept walking behind him. Miki Kujo looked over and noticed the hesitation on his face. She pointed to the chairs against the wall for those who were not qualified to sit at the conference table. "Get a stool and sit next to me." "Ha!" Toru Watanabe looked at Miki Kujo's seat. She was at the head of the table, and the person closest to her was at least 2 meters away. He was just her son-in-law. "That's not good, right? I'll just sit here." "Come here." Miki Kujo's tone was firm. "Okay." Before Toru Watanabe could get a stool, a short middle-aged man at the conference table quickly stood up and helped him get the chair before he could. "Are you Kun Watanabe? You're indeed a talent. Come, please sit," the short middle-aged man said with a smile. "Oh, thank you." The other executives present were disdainful of the short middle-aged man's behavior, some turned a blind eye, and some were full of hatred and regret. Toru Watanabe sat down on the chair. "You've all received the information last night, right?" Miki Kujo asked. Is there a suitable candidate? A skinny old man in the middle raised his hand. Director Nagashima. Miki Kujo nodded. The old man with the surname Nagashima stood up. I recommend Shinozaki. Toru Watanabe noticed that the people present looked at the middle-aged man at the head of the table. Tell me about it. Miki Kujo's tone was non-committal. After Shinozaki took over the real estate of the company, his performance has been the best every year. Now, he's one of the 3 pillars of the Kujo Financial Group. His ability is outstanding. Outstanding? The person opposite the old man sneered. The former director in charge of the real estate betrayed the company's interests. After the president got rid of him, Shinozaki did what he should do. How can that be outstanding? Kakuda! The old man shouted angrily. His voice was particularly loud in the quiet conference room. Miki Kujo tapped her fingers on the table. The old man with the surname Nagashima hurriedly bowed to her and sat back down quietly. President. Another person stood up and bowed to Miki Kujo. I recommend Shinozaki. Reason. 15 years ago, the company didn't have any business in the steel industry. At that time, the previous president decided to expand the steel industry. No one dared to take over. It was Shinozaki, who was still a minister at the time, who started Kobe Steel from scratch. The man straightened his back and said confidently, this mission was started from scratch. The mission this time is also starting from scratch. Executive Officer Ren Chuan is definitely the most suitable candidate. At this time, another person raised his hand. Miki Kujo glanced at him. The man got permission and stood up. I recommend Shinozaki. Before he could finish, someone close to him said with concern, I heard that Shinozaki is in charge of the hotel industry in Kagoshima. He owes the bank 1 billion. I wonder if he has paid it off? Ha ha ha. The conference room was filled with mocking laughter. The short, middle-aged fatty who helped Toru Watanabe move the chair had an ugly expression on his face. From time to time, he peeked at Miki Kujo's expression with a guilty look. Kagoshima Hotel is also one of the company's businesses. As soon as Miki Kujo spoke, everyone in the room quieted down. Since it's one of the company's businesses and owes money. She looked around and narrowed her eyes. How can you laugh? The conference room was so silent that you could hear a pin drop. Most people lowered their heads in silence, not daring to meet her gaze. Toru Watanabe, who was in a trance, even heard the sound of some senior executives swallowing hard. Toru Watanabe looked at Miki Kujo. She sat at the head of the table. The directors who controlled hundreds of millions and billions of yuan were like students in front of her. And Toru Watanabe could kiss and hug her whenever he wanted. He could even tear her pantyhose at any time. Miki Kujo didn't notice his lewd gaze. She stared at the senior executives in the room for a while and said, this meeting is to recommend candidates to see who is more outstanding, not to expose the truth. I'm sorry. The person who mocked Nosuk stood up and bowed deeply to Miki Kujo and the others. Let's not talk about past mistakes. It's a waste of everyone's time. Miki Kujo glanced at him. Sit down. Yes. The meeting continued. Toru Watanabe listened for a while and roughly understood what was going on. 3 executives were competing for control of an industry. Among them, Kishuin and Shinozaki were the most competitive. The other executive, Nosuk, seemed to be capable as well. However, because Kagoshima Hotel was not well managed, he had been caught red-handed. Toru Watanabe felt that he had heard the name Nosuk somewhere before, but he couldn't remember where. This was very unusual. After all, his memory was excellent to begin with. He worked hard every day to carefully recall something that he remembered. It was impossible for him not to remember. Unless he had something more important to do at the time. Just as he was thinking about where he had heard the name Nosuk before, the meeting came to an end. Everyone had said what they needed to say, and they quietly waited for Miki Kujo to make a decision. Miki Kujo rested her hand on the armrest of her chair and closed her eyes to think. There was a moment of silence. Executive Nosuk. Yes. The short, middle-aged plump man reflexively stood up, his suit tight. You can go to Kanagawa. Yes. Miki Kujo also talked about the new year. She told all the directors that they didn't need to visit her and that she was going on a vacation. After the meeting ended, Miki Kujo returned to her office on the top floor. Toru Watanabe strolled around the company. After a while, he heard the rumor that the executive director of Shinsuke Kujo had taken over the Kanagawa business because he helped the president's boyfriend move a chair. The rumor was vivid. Something like he was so handsome that the president liked him so much that she would take him everywhere. Something like he had the best grades in the country, so the president wanted him to participate in the business. In the future, it was very likely that he would take over the Kujo family as her son-in-law. Wait. Toru Watanabe almost believed it. When Miki Kujo came down with a suitcase, Toru Watanabe quietly asked her about it. How shameless are you? It's all because of you. Kujio Miki shoved the suitcase in her hand to him. The two of them went into the elevator, and Toru Watanabe pressed the button for the first floor. Then why? Toru Watanabe asked. I don't think the executive director of Nosuke is very outstanding. No matter how outstanding he is still a Kujo. This was my and my mother's decision. Oh. Toru Watanabe finally remembered. Is it that time when I hugged and kissed you, and your mother was watching us from behind? Yeah. Miki Kujo nodded. What kind of business is Kanagawa? I think all the sensible people want to go. They are completely unafraid of the risks. The beauty cream you gave me. Miki Kujo glanced at him. Although there are still many unknown ingredients, it is enough to enter the beauty industry, and it has a lot of advantages. What does that have to do with Kanagawa? Why do we have to go there? Toru Watanabe didn't understand these things. When your hometown, Izawa Village, was voting for the senator, because all the agricultural products were bought by a company called Maruto, this company asked you to vote for someone. Would your parents not vote? You know quite a lot about my hometown. Miki Kujo snorted non-committally. If you want to become a senator in Kanagawa, you must have enough jobs and industries to support the local economy. Then if Nosuke fails, what will you do with him? Go back to Kagoshima. If he doesn't pay back the money he owes the bank, he will stay there for the rest of his life. The discussion about the company came to an end. Toru Watanabe's attention returned to the box in his hand. What's inside? The company's top-secret files? He asked curiously. The company's files and real estate are hidden in a hidden compartment in my changing room. If you want to see them, you can go there yourself next time. There's a hidden compartment in your changing room? Why didn't I know about it? There are plenty of things you don't know, Miki Kujo said in annoyance. It's fine. Toru Watanabe didn't care. We have a few decades. There's still time to slowly learn. If you want to live for a few decades, don't do things like asking Rin Kiyono to go back to your hometown. Didn't I invite you to come with me? Besides, she's my only female friend. Even if I wanted to, I wouldn't have the chance to. The two of them walked out of the elevator and headed for the door. If it's not a top-secret file, then what's in this box? Clothes, Miki Kujo answered curtly. Clothes? Toru Watanabe froze. Miki, you weren't planning to go back to my hometown with me from the beginning, were you? You should be glad that you took the initiative to confess to me. Miki Kujo sneered. When I go to Iwate Prefecture and see Rin Kiyono, I'm going to break your legs and take you with me wherever I go. Toru Watanabe put his arm around Miki Kujo's slender waist and pulled her into his arms. He laughed and said in her ear, I'm going to take over the Kujo family as the Kujo family's son-in-law. How ugly would it be if I broke my legs? Miki Kujo, who was just majestically reprimanding the director of a large conglomerate like a student, lazily leaned in his arms. Take over the Kujo family? Who allowed that? The company said so. It's called the People's Wish. The Kujo family is a family business. There's no such thing as the People's Wish. As expected of the capitalists and the old aristocrats. They dare to say things that trample on the people's hearts. Chapter 205. 8:40 a.m. Shiya Station. Rin Kiyono, who was wearing a white trench coat, shirt, and jeans, saw Miki Kujo walking beside Toru Watanabe. She paused for a moment, then immediately showed an expected smile. Ah, what a coincidence. Rin Kiyono smiled and greeted her. Coincidence? Miki Kujo didn't look at her directly. Kujo-san, I knew you would come. She smiled confidently and said, After all, I'm such a beautiful girl. If it were me, I would also be worried that my boyfriend wouldn't be able to control himself. Don't talk nonsense. Toru Watanabe couldn't stand these people's narcissism. No matter how beautiful you are, I won't do anything to you. Kujo-san, Watanabe-san's words are true. Rin Kiyono said in a charitable tone. After hearing Toru Watanabe's words, she didn't mind at all. She had more or less studied this man named Toru Watanabe and knew what he was thinking. You don't seem to feel guilty about being caught red-handed. Miki Kujo said sarcastically, shamelessly going to someone else's boyfriend's house, only you can do that. We're all selfish people, so don't say such boring things. After saying that, Rin Kiyono looked at Toru Watanabe and sighed, It doesn't matter whether you go or not, but if you're going, I have to go with you and watch over him. Watch over me? Toru Watanabe asked, Am I a child? Without answering his question, Rin Kiyono saw through everything and said, Tell Kujo-san that I went to Iwate Prefecture. You must have suffered a lot just now, right? A little. You seem to be unhappy? Miki Kujo crossed her arms and looked at Toru Watanabe. No matter what, using a gun is... What? You brought another woman back to your hometown, and as your girlfriend, I can't be angry? It's not that I can't have children. Toru Watanabe. This was the first time that Miki Kujo called him by his full name. If I really wanted to kill you, would I let you talk nonsense? I'll throw you out of the car. It was homecoming season, and the station was full of people. The three of them had already attracted a lot of attention. When they saw Toru Watanabe being reprimanded, even more people were watching the show. Miki, if you want to scold me, we'll be there soon. Before Toru Watanabe could finish his words, Rin Kiyono chuckled. Her laughter was beautiful, even more beautiful than that of a nightingale, the most beautiful bird in the world. However, just like how they were immune to Toru Watanabe's smile, Toru Watanabe was also used to their occasional charm. Think about who caused me to be scolded. How can you laugh? Miki Kujo stepped on Toru Watanabe's foot. Because Toru Watanabe was imitating her tone during the meeting, since it's my company's property, how can you laugh when you owe me money? Rin Kiyono sighed and restrained her laughter. Watanabe-san, you took the initiative to tell Kujo-san about me going to Iwate Prefecture. I can see that you're a responsible person. Responsible? Miki Kujo glared at Toru Watanabe. You're just afraid that I'll find out later. Miki, that's where you're wrong. I definitely didn't tell you because I was afraid that you'd find out. I can swear on Shibuya Station. Toru Watanabe raised his right hand. It's true. Rin Kiyono once again spoke in a charitable tone. No one asked you to judge whether it's true or not. Miki Kujo coldly said to her, then glared at Toru Watanabe. At least you still have some conscience. Miki, Toru Watanabe said helplessly, I promised you, so I'll definitely stay by your side. Miki Kujo ignored him and said to Rin Kiyono, Did you hear that, Kiyono-san? He'll always stay by my side. That's true, but Kujo-san, you wouldn't think that he's doing this because you're more charming than me, or because you're a threat, right? What do you mean? My main opponent has never been you, but Watanabe-san's stubbornness and wrong sense of responsibility. Stubbornness is one thing, but what do you mean by wrong? Toru Watanabe said in dissatisfaction. Rin Kiyono revealed a confident smile. His soul isn't free, and he can't see himself clearly, so how can he know whether the path he's persisting on is right or wrong? Freedom. What a joke. Miki Kujo raised her voice and refuted. Do you think that Watanabe-san has freedom? Rin Kiyono asked. Miki Kujo crossed her arms and stated her view of love in a firm tone. I want to twist his life so that he doesn't have freedom, from waking up in the morning to lying in bed at night, whether he's resting or working, he'll only have me in his heart, and only me is allowed. Rin Kiyono was right. Miki Kujo was indeed the same as her. Both of them were bigots who followed their own principles to the end. What did the views of the world matter to them? Cruel? Tyrannical? Doing things based on one's preferences? They were just poisonous thorns on a rose. She would bloom more beautifully than anyone else. Whether he liked her or not, she didn't care at all. Very good. Rin Kiyono laughed again, this time with a happy smile. Only with such a firm will there be value in being defeated. Kujo-san, congratulations, from now on, you're also someone I'll be observing for a long time, and I'm looking forward to your expression after you've failed. Failed? Miki Kujo sneered disdainfully. If people want to get along with each other for a long time, they have to rely on commonality and attraction, not oppression, binding, or flattery. This is my belief, Watanabe-san. Between me and Kujo-san, who do you think is right? Miki. It's a lie. Miki, don't believe her, Toru Watanabe said. Beautiful women love to lie. What do you mean? Miki Kujo narrowed her eyes. I'm not talking about you. Then you're saying that I'm not beautiful? No, I'm saying that you're not lying. Then aren't you saying that I'm not beautiful? Women's psychology was really inexplicable. Ding ding dang, ding ding dang, ding ding dang, ding ding dang. Toru Watanabe's phone rang. He didn't know which benefactor was calling. Let me take this call. Toru Watanabe took out his phone and pressed the answer button. Hello? Mom. 9 o'clock. Lunch? No need to wait. You guys can eat first. Okay, I'll be careful, bye. Toru Watanabe put away his phone. Ladies, my mom is rushing us. Let's save our progress for now. We'll slowly quarrel when we reach my house, okay? Then let's go. Rin Kiyono passed the blue suitcase to Toru Watanabe. Toru Watanabe took it subconsciously. Wait. Kiyono. You plotted against me. Miki, ouch ouch ouch. If you really can't do it, you can change to another one. My left and right ears are asymmetrical. It was the homecoming season at Shikigaya Station. There was an Azura arena of intrigue and quarrels between couples. From Shikigaya Station to Tokyo Station, they took the Shinkansen, Yamaguchi. The three of them were in the green carriage. The seats here were more spacious and comfortable, there were fewer people, so the ticket price was naturally more expensive than normal carriages. The two beautiful girls sat opposite each other by the window. Toru Watanabe sat beside Miki Kujo. Did you bring anything back? With nothing to do, Miki Kujo asked Toru Watanabe. I didn't bring anything. You didn't bring anything? Other than clothes, I only brought a book by Kazuki Nagai, Clogs in a Sunny Day, to pass the time. Hearing Clogs in a Sunny Day, Rin Kiyono, who was about to put on her headphones to read, looked up at Toru Watanabe. The last book she read was Clogs in a Sunny Day, by Kazuki Nagai. Rin Kiyono showed a satisfied expression and smiled. She put on her headphones, hummed softly, and opened the book in her hands. This was also Kazuki Nagai's book. Miki Kujo glanced at her. She didn't understand why she was in such a good mood when she suddenly sang. Miki, you woke up early today. Do you want to sleep for a while? As soon as Toru Watanabe said this, Miki Kujo immediately felt sleepy. She had been working late for the past few days, and she woke up early today. Her body had been lacking sleep. She leaned her head on Toru Watanabe's shoulder, yawned, and prepared to sleep. Wait. Toru Watanabe stood up. What are you doing? Miki Kujo was dissatisfied. Toru Watanabe took out a blanket from the travel bag on the shelf. He covered Miki Kujo with the blanket and pressed her head on his shoulder. Okay, go to sleep. I'll wake you up when we arrive. Troublesome. Miki Kujo complained. Then, she wrapped the blanket tightly around her, adjusted her head to a comfortable position, and fell asleep. The departure bell rang. The train slowly accelerated, left Tokyo, and headed towards Iwate Prefecture. About 2 hours later, they arrived at Kamoishi. After that, they had to transfer. Toru Watanabe bought tickets at the ticket office. They sat in an old tram with only one carriage. The three of them sat in a row. Toru Watanabe looked at their luggage and didn't let them run around. The tram waited for about 10 minutes. The second wave of passengers didn't arrive, so it started to move. Following the tracks to the north, they left Kamoishi and the scenery widened. When I left, it was still spring. This place was full of green wheat. Hearing Toru Watanabe's voice, Rin Kiyono, who was reading a book, came back to her senses and looked out the window. Fields and wastelands came into view. The plastic canopy on the snow reflected the winter sun and looked very warm. "Are we almost there?" she asked. "It's still early," Toru Watanabe replied. Rin Kiyono stopped reading. She closed the title page and looked out the window with Toru Watanabe at the scenery passing by. Soon, the tram entered a forest of fir trees. The trees were tall and straight, like thin towers rising from the ground. The light was blocked, and the inside of the tram became dark. Even the temperature seemed to have dropped. Miki Kujo, who was sleeping on Toru Watanabe's shoulder, tightly hugged his arm as if she was looking for warmth. Toru Watanabe helped her pull up the blanket to prevent the wind from entering her neck. With great difficulty, they finally left the forest of fir trees. The scenery widened again. In the distance, white smoke rose in spirals. There should be people there. When Rin Kiyono saw a corner of the sea and was about to take a closer look, the tram entered another forest. This forest was unmaintained. The branches grew to the tracks. When the tram passed by, they stuck to the windows like windshield wipers. There were also branches with poor flexibility. It was obvious that they had been broken by the tram. "We're almost there." Toru Watanabe had just finished speaking when the tram left the forest and the light became brighter. They were in a basin. In the distance, there was a mountain. On the ridge of the mountain, there was a wind power station. A huge white windmill slowly rotated. Looking away from the mountain, there was a forest. Below the forest, there were layers of terraced fields. If it was spring, the terraced fields would be filled with grass. Toru Watanabe said, "It must be beautiful." Rin Kiyono imagined the scene. In the middle of the terraced fields, there were a few houses that didn't seem to be inhabited. A water buffalo was grazing. Below the terraced fields was a flat paddy field. There was no water in it. There was a person wearing a bamboo hat burning straw. "Is this called Shimizuwa Village?" Rin Kiyono asked. "Yes." The tram stopped at a shabby station that didn't even have a canopy. It was like an isolated island. Toru Watanabe woke Miki Kujo up. "We're finally here?" Miki Kujo stretched. "You've worked hard," Toru Watanabe said with a smile. "If I knew it would take so long, I would have taken a helicopter." "You'll scare the villagers." The three of them got off the tram. Compared to Tokyo, Shimizuwa Village in the basin wasn't cold at all. Even with Rin Kiyono's physical fitness, she only needed to wear a thin sweater and a jacket. "I like this place." Rin Kiyono took a deep breath. Even the air was cleaner than Tokyo. After 2 days, don't complain about going back to Tokyo. "Am I such a person?" Rin Kiyono looked at him with dissatisfaction. Toru Watanabe pulled the suitcase and walked down the platform. It was just a cement platform. The two beautiful girls followed behind him and looked around curiously. There are no entertainment facilities here, no restaurants. The only place to spend money is a vending machine and a snack shop. While Watanabe was explaining, the two of them saw houses. Just like what Toru Watanabe said at the Christmas party, every house had firewood in front of the house that was piled up to the eaves. Stray dogs that didn't exist in Tokyo could be seen from time to time. They were in groups of 2 or 3, sometimes you chased me, sometimes I chased you. When the 3 of them passed by, it was as if they pressed the pause button and stared at them. Even the dog that was being bullied on the ground was the same. They won't bite, right? Rin Kiyono hid behind Toru Watanabe. Those that dare to bite have been killed. Those that survive are all human friends. What a cruel rule, but it can't be helped. Rin Kiyono quickly accepted Toru Watanabe's explanation. It seemed that she didn't like dogs. After 10 minutes on the concrete path, a bus whizzed past them. There were drainage canals on both sides of the road. The water was so clear that they could see the bottom. Occasionally, a fallen leaf would float over, and small fish would swim against the current. When they were exhausted, they would be washed back to their original place by the current. Miki Kujo looked into the distance and asked, "Where is your house?" "There." Toru Watanabe pointed to the distance. "We're here." The 2 of them looked in the direction he pointed. It was a small hill, and 2 houses were located at the foot of the hill. The houses were separated by a fence. "We're about to see my parents. Are you nervous?" Toru Watanabe asked the 2 of them with a smile. "I've seen the Prime Minister before," Miki Kujo said without a care. Rin Kiyono closed her eyes and slowly took a deep breath. Miki Kujo looked at her and asked with disgust and confusion, "What are you nervous about?" Yi Rin exhaled the air in his chest, opened his eyes, and answered casually, "It's the first time I took the initiative to go to a classmate's house, and it's a male classmate." Seeing her nervous expression, Toru Watanabe couldn't help but smile. Miki Kujo turned to look at him again. "What are you smiling about?" "Ah, well, I'm home. I'm happy. Watanabe-san." Rin Kiyono stretched out her hand. "Give me the suitcase. Tokyo women are really despicable." Toru Watanabe returned the suitcase to her and said to Miki Kujo, "Miki, do you want it?" Miki Kujo crossed her arms and didn't say anything. Toru Watanabe stuffed the handle of her suitcase into her hands, and she accepted it. "Let's go." Toru Watanabe took the lead and walked towards his house. Chapter 206. After walking up the cement road, they saw the front yard of Watanabe's house. It was a piece of muddy land that looked very sturdy, so sturdy that even if it rained, there would not be too much silt on it. On this piece of land, there was a very ordinary 2-story wooden house in the shape of an L. It looked like it had been there for a long time. In this day and age, it was a relatively rare traditional island building. "The 2 of you, this is my house." The 3 of them stood at the end of the cement road, just 1 step away from entering the front yard. Rin Kiyono looked at the house. It was made of black bricks and tiles. There was a silver-white satellite TV on the windowsill on the 2nd floor. In front of the door and in front of the porch, there were potted plants that would not die even in the winter. Rather than a potted plant, it was more like an unknown plant that was found pleasing to the eye in the mountains and was casually dug up. "Is that the Honda Coyote you were talking about?" Miki Kujo's line of sight looked at the warehouse on the left side of the house. The warehouse did not have a door. There were farm tools and a red motorcycle inside. On the back seat of the motorcycle was a cargo box. The gaps between the tires were covered with mud. "When I have time, I'll take you for a ride." Toru Watanabe showed off. Miki Kujo somewhat helplessly stared at him. "Do you have a driver's license?" Rin Kiyono curiously asked. A motorcycle driver's license could only be obtained at the age of 16. After the 2 of them turned 16, they spent almost all of their time together, so Toru Watanabe should not have time to get a driver's license. But she believed that for Toru Watanabe, getting a motorcycle license would be a very simple matter. If he really wanted to do it, he would have enough time in the morning before school. Toru Watanabe confidently smiled at her. "In Sawamura, I have one." That meant he did not have one. Okay, let's not talk about the motorcycle, let's go in." Toru Watanabe took the lead and stepped into the front yard. The 2 beautiful girls pulled a box and followed closely behind. I don't see a car, then my dad should not be at home. Toru Watanabe did not use the key and directly opened the wooden door with one hand. In front of them was a wooden promenade. On the left and right sides of the long corridor, there was a wooden sliding door, and at the end of the corridor was a staircase that led to the second floor. Rin Kiyono glanced to the left, which led to the eaves. At the end of the eaves was the small house under the L shape. Could it be the kitchen? Just as she was guessing, she heard Toru Watanabe's shout. "Mom, I'm back. If you're back, then come in by yourself." A female voice came from the wooden door on the left side of the corridor. "No. There's too much luggage. Come and help." The wooden door opened and Watanabe walked out. Seeing the two people beside her son, she was stunned for a moment. Toru Watanabe smiled happily at his mother and proudly introduced her to him. "This is my girlfriend, Miki Kujo." "Hello, Auntie Ji. I'm Toru's girlfriend, Miki Kujo." Miki Kujo bowed gracefully. "Hi, hello, Miki." Watanabe Ji had only heard this greeting in TV dramas. "You've met this before, Rin Kiyono." Toru Watanabe continued, "She's both my friend and enemy. She grew up with Miki." "Hello, Auntie." Rin Kiyono greeted her mother in a normal way. "Oh, it's Rin." Watanabe's mother smiled. "Come in." She took 3 pairs of slippers from the shoe cabinet. One pair was for Toru Watanabe, and the other 2 were for guests. Rin Kiyono nodded politely. Miki Kujo looked at the slippers and then stared at the pair in front of Toru Watanabe. "These are yours?" "Yes, you can wear mine." "I'll wear yours." Miki Kujo nodded and put on Toru Watanabe's slippers. Watanabe's mother looked at Miki Kujo and smiled. "Come in." The 3 of them put their luggage at the door and followed Watanabe's mother into the room she had just come out of. It was a spacious living room. For ordinary people living in Tokyo, it was a luxury. There was a cabinet in the corner of the living room. On top of the cabinet was a very thin and high-end television, but it was actually very cheap. It only had 1333 by 768 pixels. There was a variety show on the TV. A popular idol came to Iwate Prefecture for a vacation and introduced all kinds of delicious food with exaggerated expressions. There was a stove in the middle of the living room. The principle was similar to that of a kotatsu, but there was a hole under the table for people to put their feet in. In addition, there was a wood-burning stove made of tin plate in the living room. There were dried orange peels on top of it. The faint smell of ripe oranges in the room came from there. "Please sit down, I'll peel some fruit for you." Watanabe's mother stood at the door of the living room and said, "I'll help." Rin Kiyono, who had just walked into the living room, turned around and walked back to Watanabe's side. "No, Rin, you should rest well. It must be tiring to come here from Tokyo." Rin Kiyono thought for a moment. "Okay, thank you, Auntie." "You're welcome." Watanabe's mother smiled happily and said to Toru Watanabe, "Toru Watanabe, take good care of them." "Okay." Watanabe's mother went to the kitchen. Rin Kiyono sat down in the stove and sighed comfortably. After such a long car ride and such a long walk, it was equivalent to a week's exercise. "Miki, sit down too," Toru Watanabe said. Miki Kujo looked at the quilt in the stove and said with slight disdain, "Who knows how many people have used it? You want me to crawl into it?" Usually, there were women in the village who liked to chat with Watanabe's mother, but it had nothing to do with the countryside or the city. Miki Kujo disliked everyone. Toru Watanabe was used to her obsession with cleanliness. He suggested, "There should be new quilts at home, and I'll get you a seat cushion." "I want a new seat cushion too." "Seat cushion? Is there a new one?" Toru Watanabe was not hopeful. Miki Kujo looked at him and said, "If there isn't, I'll get the one in your room." "There is. Wait for me." Toru Watanabe left the living room and went up to the second floor. In the living room, Rin Kiyono said to Miki Kujo with a smile, "I'm afraid Watanabe classmates' parents will hate you." "So what?" Miki Kujo did not care. Do you want me to accommodate them? The only one I like is Toru Watanabe. You, on the other hand, are pretending to be a good girl. What are you trying to do? It's just basic etiquette. You're too rude, Miss Kujo. It's my habit to not use quilts that have been used by others. How is this rude? In someone else's house. You're arguing already. Toru Watanabe walked in with a quilt and a seat cushion. You two are really close. The two ignored him. When Watanabe's mother came in with a fruit plate, she was slightly stunned when she saw the new quilt and the seat cushion under Miki Kujo's butt. Sorry, we only have the simplest fruits at home. She pretended that nothing had happened and put the plate in the middle of the table. There were only grapes, oranges, and a cut apple on the plate. Apples were the fruit that Watanabe's mother usually ate. She did not know where she heard that eating apples could beautify her skin. Sometimes, in order to lose weight, she would only eat apples for dinner. The grapes were bought for Toru Watanabe, who was coming back today. As for the oranges, there were a few orange trees on the mountain. She picked them casually, but they were very sweet. That's enough. We're disturbing you. Rin Kiyono bowed slightly. Miki Kujo nodded in agreement with Rin Kiyono's words. Toru Watanabe took an orange and said as he peeled it, Mom, Miki and Kiyono will stay for the new year. Can you help them clean up their room? After that, he suddenly thought of something and added, Okay. Miki can sleep in my room. She's so obsessed with cleanliness that she's going to have a mental illness. Miki Kujo kicked Toru Watanabe in the hole under the table. I'm not the one who's going to have a mental illness. She glanced at Rin Kiyono. Rin Kiyono was leisurely eating an apple with a toothpick. You're going to sleep in the same room? Watanabe's mother looked back and forth between her son and Miki Kujo in surprise. No. Toru Watanabe swallowed the juicy orange in his mouth. Can you help me clean up another room? I see. Watanabe's mother nodded in relief. Then I'll go now. Xiaoche, take good care of Rin and Miki. Sorry to trouble you, Auntie. Thank you. After his mother left, Toru Watanabe muttered, What should I ask you to do? Do you want to play games? Do you have a game console or a computer at home? Miki Kujo asked with a little surprise. I don't have a computer, but I do have a game console. Toru Watanabe put down the half-eaten orange, got up and walked to the TV, and took out a Hongbai and a bunch of game cards from the cabinet. It's just a little old, he said. It's not just old, it's also outdated, Miki Kujo added. Classics will never be outdated. Toru Watanabe said with perfect pronunciation. He connected the Hongbai to the TV and plugged in the controller. The controller's cord was very long, and it could be played while sitting in the oven. This was the remnant of Toru Watanabe's cold days. What do you want to play? Let's play an exciting game of Red Fortress or Tank Wars. No, play this. Miki Kujo picked up the Squirrel Wars card. Okay. Toru Watanabe chose to play a cooperative game because he wanted the two of them to have a good relationship. However, as long as they could play together, their relationship might become better. With good expectations, Toru Watanabe blew on the game card, and then inserted it into the Hongbai's card slot. The quality of the game console and the game card was very good. After so many years, it still ran smoothly without any problems. If there were any problems, he would have to use his trump card, licking it. He handed the controller to the two beautiful girls sitting in the oven. Rin Kiyono had never played a game before, but she still knew how to use the simplest controls. Her squirrel took the lead, and Miki Kujo, who purposely fell behind, lifted the box and knocked her out. Miki Kujo's squirrel ran over, lifted Rin Kiyono up, and carried her all the way. Realizing that Rin Kiyono couldn't move, she frowned slightly. When they reached the cactus, Miki Kujo threw her onto it. Rin Kiyono lost a lot of HP, but she also regained her freedom and learned a new trick. She lifted the box and threw it at Miki Kujo. How could Miki Kujo not be prepared? She hid in the box and neutralized this trick. After that, they had to climb up a telephone pole. The two of them threw each other, trying to throw each other down. Since they couldn't do anything to each other, they tried to run faster. If the slow one fell behind and fell out of the game screen, they would also lose HP. In a game, they used a borrowed knife to kill, looting a burning house, watching from the sidelines, walking away, turning the tables, using the ladders. They almost used all the 36 stratagems except for the honey trap. After a while, Watanabe came back. Rin, I'm sorry, one of the bedrooms is moldy. Can you and Mickey sleep in the room together? Isn't it better if it's moldy? Miki Kujo sneered at Rin Kiyono. What? Watanabe's mother was stunned. She's joking. Toru Watanabe explained, let Kiyono and Mickey sleep together. I'm fine with it. Rin Kiyono nodded and said. Miki Kujo didn't say anything. She was indeed just mocking her. Of course, if Rin Kiyono was angry and decided to sleep in the room or go back to Tokyo, that would be the best. I'm going to town to buy some food. Toru, you take care of them. I know, Mom, you've said this 3 times today. Are you looking down on your son's memory? I'm the smartest first-year high school student in the whole of Japan. You child. Watanabe wanted to scold him, but she couldn't help but smile. Be careful on the road. Okay, I'm leaving. After Watanabe left, Toru Watanabe went to the door to help the two carry their suitcases upstairs. The 3 of them stepped on the wooden stairs and went to Toru Watanabe's room on the 2nd floor. Miki Kujo wasn't interested in the room downstairs, but when she arrived here, she carefully looked around. The room was very spacious, more than enough for 2 people to sleep. There was no bed, but 2 mattresses were laid out on the tatami mats. There was a quilt without an electric heater, and a cheap alarm clock was placed on the table. There was a handmade bookshelf against the wall, and as far as the eye could see, it was filled with textbooks, exercise books, and notebooks. Miki Kujo looked carefully, and in the corner of the bookshelf, she found a few cheap library books, magazines that were 5 or 6 years old, plastic airplanes, and cheap clay figurines made out of twisted eggs. There was a window in the room that overlooked the front yard, the terraced fields in the distance, and the mountains. Miki Kujo imagined Toru Watanabe in elementary school. A well-behaved little boy, sitting on the tatami mats, trying to put together paper airplanes. She imagined Toru Watanabe in junior high school, a serious half-grown child, reading at the table in the middle of the night, and looking at the scenery outside the window when he was tired. Spring was warm, summer was hot, autumn was cold, winter was night, 1 year, 2 years. He slowly grew up in this simple room, and then appeared in front of her. It's okay, Miki Kujo said with her arms crossed. It's the honor of this room to receive Mickey's evaluation of it, Toru Watanabe said with a smile. In Tokyo, even the members-only restaurant was called Some Shitty Place by Miki Kujo. He just didn't know if Miki Kujo was telling the truth or not, or maybe she was just being polite. Rin Kiyono walked in front of the bookshelf and flipped through Toru Watanabe's study materials, which were filled with notes and summaries of wrong questions. Although it was only middle school and a small portion of high school knowledge, most middle school teachers couldn't get into Kamigawa, not to mention self-study. Which one is your bed? Miki Kujo looked at the 2 beds and asked. This one. Toru Watanabe pointed at the bed furthest away from the window. Miki Kujo nodded. After putting down their luggage, Toru Watanabe took them around the room. How is it? Are you a little disappointed? Toru Watanabe asked. I think it's great. Rin Kiyono said. You actually think it's great? Tell me, what's good about it? Toru Watanabe didn't dislike his own home, and he would get angry if others criticized it, but he was still very clear on whether it was good or bad. Apart from the fact that the land price was cheap and it was large enough, there were almost no other good points. There are beautiful carvings on the glass, the sink is very clean, the ceramic tiles are beautifully colored, and there are cherry blossom patches on the curtains. I can feel the connection between the Watanabe family and this house, and it's deeply loved by all of you. If Miki Kujo didn't come, Toru Watanabe would definitely say, Kiyono-san, is this one of your methods to make me love you? Miki, what do you think? Toru Watanabe asked his girlfriend. It's a run-down house. It's definitely a run-down house. But, Miki Kujo glanced at a pillar that had been carved to measure Toru Watanabe's height since he was a child. It's where you grew up, so although it's run down, it's not annoying. Yeah, I don't hate it here either. Chapter 207. After touring the house, the three of them returned to the living room. Rin Kiyono lost interest in the game and sat in the stove to read. Toru Watanabe plugged Contra into the Hongbai and challenged it with Miki Kujo. Let's walk in the water. Miki, do you want this S-bomb? There's an invincible one here, do you want it? Ah, it ran away. After clearing Contra, they played Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2 and Bloody Combat. Miki Kujo was sleepy and slept on her side. Toru Watanabe played Heavy Tank alone. About 2 hours later, Watanabe's mother came back as the sky began to turn red. Sawamura was far away from the nearest town. Xiao-Che, help Mom peel peas. Okay. I'll help. Rin Kiyono was about to get up. No, Shaolin, you sit down. Come here quickly. Watanabe's mother told Toru Watanabe and went to the kitchen. After a while, Toru Watanabe was nowhere to be seen. Watanabe's mother shouted again. Xiao-Che. Coming. After a while, Watanabe's mother rushed out of the kitchen. Xiao-Che, what are you doing? Mom reprimanded. The two beautiful girls also looked at Toru Watanabe. Soon. Toru Watanabe focused on the controller. I'm about to get the Red Wolf tank. Watanabe's mother walked over and turned off the TV. Ah, my tank. My life's dream. Mom, what are you doing? There's a guest in the house. Don't you know how to be more diligent? Come and help. Toru Watanabe put down the controller and stood up from the blanket helplessly. He followed Watanabe out of the living room and into the kitchen. Didn't Kiyono say she'll do it? Just let her do it. Let the guests fight? Just lie there and play games? What did I teach you? But we can't let them eat and stay for free, right? What are you thinking all day long? Was he going to collect money from them? By the way, after peeling the peas, go to the field and pluck some radishes. Red radish, white radish? Which one do little Lin and Mickey like? The two people in the living room could hear the conversation between the mother and son. When dinner was almost ready, Toru Watanabe's father came back. There was a man called Watanabe Sunio who was a man of few words but liked to brag loudly after drinking with the men in the village. He always wore a pair of old rubber shoes and was called Watanabe Sunio. Dad, did you deliver the goods? Yes. Watanabe nodded. He took off his rubber shoes and had no reaction to his son who had been in Tokyo for more than half a year. I brought my girlfriend back this time. Yes. There's another student. Watanabe Sunio didn't even say a word. He simply nodded and said, I understand. You too. Come and help me serve the dishes. Watanabe's mother's voice came from the kitchen. Got it. Toru Watanabe answered. Watanabe Sunio didn't say anything and just walked to the kitchen with Toru Watanabe. Watanabe's father was a man of few words. But even so, he would still raise rice ducks for his son and send them to Tokyo. During dinner, Toru Watanabe introduced the two beautiful girls, but he didn't respond. Compared to Rin Kiyono, he said one more thing to Miki Kujo. Che, sorry for troubling you. Toru Watanabe wanted to tell his father that Miki Kujo had caused him more trouble than he had caused her. Okay. Watanabe's mother smiled and said, Let's eat. At the long wooden table, Watanabe's father sat at the head of the table. Watanabe's mother and Rin Kiyono sat on one side, while Toru Watanabe and Miki Kujo sat on the other side. The two beautiful girls faced each other. Before she said, I'm going to eat, Miki Kujo looked at the bowl and chopsticks in front of her. Is this new? She asked. Watanabe's mother looked at her in confusion and answered subconsciously, No. Miki Kujo looked at Toru Watanabe. I was just about to give you mine. Toru Watanabe exchanged their bowls, chopsticks, and plates. This is for me. No one has used it before. Miki Kujo looked at the bowls and chopsticks in Watanabe's parents' hands. They were indeed of different colors, so she nodded in satisfaction. Watanabe Ji looked at this scene and secretly looked at Watanabe's father. Watanabe's father pretended not to see. I'm going to eat. After expressing their gratitude for the food, they began to enjoy dinner. Toru Watanabe took a bite of rice and 2 mouthfuls of vegetables, then asked the two of them, "Are you used to the food?" "It's okay," Miki Kujo said. Rin Kiyono drank a small mouthful of radish stew and ate a fried mushroom. Fresh vegetables. They're tender and delicious. I like them very much. Eat more if you like. There's more in the kitchen, Watanabe's mother said happily. Thank you, Auntie. Maybe I really need more rice. After saying that, she looked a little troubled. But I'll gain weight. Forget it. You're so thin. I think you'll gain at least 5 pounds before your weight is normal, Toru Watanabe said. Watanabe-san, you don't understand girls' weight. It stinks. Rin Kiyono's snow-white face wrinkled as she covered her nose. Watanabe's father, who was stirring the natto, was stunned. Watanabe's mother slapped the table and laughed, full of the boldness of a village woman. This. Watanabe's father didn't know what to do. He said without thinking carefully, "It's made at home. It's delicious. Do you want it?" Rin Kiyono shook her head hard. "Sorry, I can't stand natto." Then. Watanabe's father hesitated and was ready to give up the natto that he had for every meal for 40 years. "Please don't mind it, uncle," Rin Kiyono said while pinching her nose. Her voice was a little out of tune. "I'll get used to it." Watanabe's father hesitated for 3 seconds before he continued stirring the natto and poured it into the rice bowl. "Ah-ha-ha-ha." Watanabe's mother couldn't stop laughing. "Little Rin is so cute." "Auntie, I'm not pretending to be cute, but I'm really cute." I understand. After being with his father for so many years, I can't stand natto either. It stinks." Rin Kiyono wasn't trying to curry favor when she said that the vegetables were fresh and delicious. Natto smelled bad, but she wasn't trying to pick a fight. She was just telling the truth. However, with her etiquette, she shouldn't have said, "It stinks" directly. But the natto made by Watanabe's family was really smelly. Miki Kujo also frowned and warned Toru Watanabe, "You're not allowed to eat that." Why? Toru Watanabe didn't eat natto, but he was curious about the reason. "Why are you asking so many questions? This is an order." Okay, I'll listen to you." Watanabe's father silently ate the natto rice. No matter what the 3 women said, he ate very happily. The only pity was that his son didn't inherit this tradition. The technique of making natto in Watanabe's family would be lost in his generation. By the way, Watanabe's father remembered something. "Do you still want to work as a postman?" "Yes." Toru Watanabe drank up the soup and said to his mother, "One more bowl." Rin Kiyono hesitated and also asked for a bowl. "Anyway, I have nothing to do in the morning." "Okay." Watanabe's father didn't say anything else. After eating, the 2 beautiful girls took a bath in the bathroom upstairs. Toru Watanabe wasn't used to the family soaking in the bathtub, so he asked his parents to help him build it. Although it was a little small, thanks to it, the problem of the 2 young ladies taking a bath was solved. "You're very tired today. Go to bed early and sleep in tomorrow. I'll take you around the village." "Okay, good night." Toru Watanabe went downstairs and wanted to chat with his parents for a while before going to bed. He was afraid of disturbing the 2 upstairs, so he walked softly. When he went to the living room, he heard his parents' conversation. "Dad, what do you think of Mickey?" Toru Watanabe didn't go in, but hid outside the living room. "What do you mean?" Watanabe's father asked. "The child seems to dislike us," Watanabe's mother said. "What do you mean? Can't you see? She doesn't even touch the things we used. Forget about the towels and chopsticks. I helped Xiao Che clean up the room today. When I came back, the quilt on the stove was replaced with a new one. Why do you care if she dislikes us or not? She lives with Ah Che. As long as she doesn't dislike Ah Che, it's fine. But we are Ah Che's parents. Will Ah Che live with us in the countryside in the future? Watanabe's father asked. Of course not. How is that possible? Ah Che can't learn from Lingzi. Lingzi was an old woman in the village. After she went to college, she didn't find a job. Instead, she came back from Osaka to farm. Later, when the school teacher retired, she replaced him and got a formal job. She lived lazily every day and didn't get married. She couldn't be blamed for getting married. There were no young men in the village. If she wanted to get married, she could only marry the old man or Toru Watanabe, who was more than 10 years younger than her. Watanabe's mother didn't look down on Lingzi. They even had a good relationship. She just didn't want Toru Watanabe to be like her. Today, there were fewer children. Maybe no young people in Zei village would live here since Toru Watanabe's generation. Since they were going to leave, she hoped that Toru Watanabe could go to Tokyo and find a comfortable and high-paying job. Then it's fine. Watanabe's father's voice was steady and unhurried. People in the city look down on people from the countryside. It's not like Mickey is the only one. Since she can accept Archer, doesn't it mean that she likes him very much? Isn't it enough that they like each other? But I think that child is bossing Ah Che around. Watanabe's father didn't deny it. He said, "It's good that someone is bossing Ah Che around. But isn't that too much? Didn't you hear her tone? It's like she's ordering a servant. Ah Che is handsome and excellent in all aspects. If she doesn't be strong as his wife, I don't know what will happen in the future. How can my son do that kind of thing?" "I'm sorry, Mom." Toru Watanabe, who was eavesdropping outside the living room, apologized silently in his heart. He didn't want to do that kind of thing at first. He wanted to be a loyal person. Because of this, he rejected Masahi several times. But in the end, he had no choice. He doesn't do anything, but women do. He can reject 1 or 2 women, but can he guarantee that he will reject all women? Watanabe Masaru said. That's true. Watanabe echoed reluctantly. The living room was silent for a while. Toru Watanabe was about to pretend that he had just arrived and walk in. His father, "What do you think of little Rin?" His mother's lowered voice made Toru Watanabe stop in his tracks. "She's quite a cute child," Watanabe's father replied perfunctorily. Watanabe's mother was very interested. Her tone was slightly excited as she said, "I think she's very nice. She's polite, cute, and quiet. She also gets along well with Ah Che. Yeah. And I think she can control Ah Che. You still blame Mickey for being fierce to Ah Che. I think that's what she should do," Watanabe's father said. "You don't think little Rin is good?" Watanabe lowered her voice even more. "I want her to be my daughter-in-law more." After saying that, Watanabe laughed as if she could already see Rin Kiyono calling her mother. It's Ah Che's own business. His future is his own. This was Watanabe's father's opinion on this matter. "I'll find a chance to ask Ah Che and see what he thinks of little Rin." The conversation about the 2 beautiful girls ended there. Watanabe Masaru asked about her husband's delivery during the day. After that, they talked about preparing for the new year. They discussed buying some expensive ingredients to entertain Miki Kujo and Rin Kiyono. Until Toru Watanabe got married, Watanabe Masaru didn't ask him about Rin Kiyono. Perhaps because of her husband's previous words, she didn't know what kind of answer she wanted to hear from Toru Watanabe. December 26th, the first day Toru Watanabe returned to Iwate Prefecture. He got up early and worked part-time as a postman. He started this job after he entered junior high school in order to buy expensive tutoring books. Before and after he quit, his father had always been the postman in Sawamura. Now he continued to work as a postman to let his parents know that he was a hard-working child and they didn't need to worry too much about him. In addition, he was used to getting up early to find something to do. The sky was still dark. The Honda Mustang crossed the field path and crossed the small bridge over the stream. There were towering trees on both sides of the mountain road. The cold wind blew on Toru Watanabe's face. My love has gone with the south wind. After changing the pillow, Rin Kiyono fell asleep very late and woke up very early in the morning. After opening her eyes, she didn't hear the sound of Tokyo. She could only hear the sound of birds outside the window. She could hear Miki Kujo's steady breathing beside her. She got up quietly, changed her clothes, and went downstairs. Watanabe's mother was making breakfast in the kitchen. Rin. Watanabe's mother raised her head when she heard footsteps. You're up so early. Why didn't you sleep a little longer? Good morning, Auntie, Rin Kiyono said after greeting her. I changed the pillow, so I'm not used to it. Then what should we do? Watanabe's mother was very worried. She stopped what she was doing. It's okay. You just need to sleep for one night. The next day will be fine. This was her experience from the summer vacation in the Blowing Club. That's good. Watanabe's mother nodded in relief and continued to cook. Rin Kiyono walked over, rolled up her sleeves, and helped to wash the vegetables. After a while, she asked, "Where's Watanabe?" For some reason, Watanabe's mother seemed happy that she asked this question. He went to deliver a letter. Deliver a letter? Yes, he's working as a postman. He bought all the reference books for junior high school with the money he earned from this job. Rin Kiyono nodded. Auntie Ji, what was Watanabe like when he was young? The melodious sound of a flute came from afar. On a high ridge in the field, a girl with curly hair was practicing her flute while facing the rising sun. So hard-working? Toru Watanabe stopped the Honda Mustang in front of the girl. Ayako Homa put down the flute and asked, "Watanabe?" "That's me." Toru Watanabe took off his helmet and rested his elbows on the handlebars. "When did you come back?" Ayako Homa patted Toru Watanabe's shoulder hard. If it was a year ago, Toru Watanabe would have hugged his shoulder and cried out in pain. Yesterday, Toru Watanabe looked at the flute in her hand and asked, "What's going on?" "What else could it be? I'll be in my third year of high school next year. It's my last semester. I have to enter the national competition and not leave any regrets in my youth." "Ah." Toru Watanabe looked at the blue sky in boredom and said, "I won the national competition in my first year of high school. What should I do next?" "Do you want to die?" "Isn't this Ache?" A middle-aged man carrying a hoe came from Ayako Homa's direction. "Uncle Honma." Toru Watanabe turned around and took out a letter from the bag. "There's a letter for you." Uncle Honma took the letter and muttered, "It's the water and electricity bill again." He raised his head and said to Toru Watanabe, "Ache, I heard that you pressed the first place in a competition?" "It's not first place. It's just the gold medal." Ayako Homa corrected him. "Isn't the gold medal the first place?" Uncle Honma retorted with a daughter tone. "That's right. I'm the first place," Toru Watanabe said. Ayako Homa pursed her lips. Uncle Honma patted Toru Watanabe's shoulder and praised him. "Really smart people are different. Even if you go to Tokyo, you can still make a name for yourself. I knew you were a genius long ago." "You're right. Come to my house later. Your aunt's persimmons are very sweet this year." "I'll definitely go." Toru Watanabe put on his helmet. "Uncle Honma, I'm going to deliver the letter." "Okay. Ayako, do your best. Don't leave any regrets for your youth." Ayako Homa kicked the rear wheel of the Honda Coyote. After delivering the letter, Toru Watanabe returned home and smelled the aroma of breakfast. "Mom, I'm starving. Are you still not done?" Toru Watanabe said as he took off his helmet. "I'm almost done," Watanabe Chiaki replied without looking up. "Is it cold to ride a bike?" "It's okay. My feet are a little cold. Toru Watanabe changed into indoor shoes and walked into the kitchen. Rin Kiyono rolled up her sleeves and was slicing vegetables. She was wearing a light pink loose sweater and a beige dress that reached her ankles. Her hair was tied up in a loose ponytail and stuck to her back. She looked gentle, relaxed, and very beautiful. "You're up so early?" By the way, Toru Watanabe remembered something. "Mom, Kiyono only eats half-cooked eggs. Don't fry them all." After saying that, he looked at Rin Kiyono and was about to ask her why she was up so early. However, Rin Kiyono was smiling at him. It was a gentle smile like a spring breeze. "What's wrong?" Toru Watanabe asked her curiously. "Is my hair messy?" "It's a little messy," Rin Kiyono said with a smile. "Then I'll have to tidy it up." Toru Watanabe walked out of the kitchen. Watanabe whispered to Rin Kiyono with a smile. "Xiaoche, how did you know that you only eat half-cooked eggs?" "I found out when we had breakfast together on a school trip." Rin Kiyono recalled the scene at that time and couldn't help but smile. "At that time, we quarreled about whether it was half-cooked or half-cooked." "Quarreled?" "Yes." Watanabe saw the smile on Rin Kiyono's face and didn't ask again. She just smiled. Chapter 208. Toru Watanabe tidied up his hair, and breakfast was ready. "Xiaoche, go upstairs and wake Miki up." Watanabe's mother ordered her son as she brought breakfast to the table. Toru Watanabe thought of Miki Kujo's usual temper when she woke up, and his habit of not leaving breakfast for his family. "I'll bring it up for her," he said. "Eat in the room?" Watanabe asked in surprise. "Then I'll leave it for her. I'll heat it up for her when she wakes up." "No need to trouble yourself." For breakfast, there was warm milk, toast with strawberry jam, fried eggs with salt, various vegetable soup, and scones. Toru Watanabe placed these on a wooden tray and carefully brought it upstairs. "Miki, it's time for breakfast." When he entered the bedroom, Miki Kujo was curled up under the quilt. Rin Kiyono's bed, which was originally next to her, had been folded neatly and placed in the cabinet. Toru Watanabe held the tray and knelt beside Miki Kujo's pillow. She only covered a small part of the wide quilt and hugged the rest in her arms. She rested her head on a corner of the quilt. "Miki." He bent down and combed her bangs with his hand. Miki Kujo's flawless side profile was shining in the morning light that slipped in through the window. Toru Watanabe's finger touched her eyebrows and slid along the perfect curve of her nose until it reached the tip of her nose. Miki Kujo seemed to feel itchy, so she rubbed her nose against the quilt and made a slight sound of dissatisfaction. Toru Watanabe couldn't help but smile. He pinched her delicate and pretty little face. "Get up. Eat before you sleep." This meant that she didn't want to eat and didn't want to bother him. "I brought it up for you. You can sit up and eat." Miki Kujo did not move. In order to finish her work quickly and go back to her hometown with Toru Watanabe, she probably didn't sleep well these days. Toru Watanabe put down the plate at his feet and held Miki Kujo in his arms. What's this? It's so annoying and cold." Toru Watanabe let her lean in his arms and pulled the quilt over to cover her body. "Come, have some warm milk first." A few seconds after he picked up the warm milk from the plate, Kujo Miki had almost fallen asleep in his arms. Toru Watanabe brought the cup to her mouth. After a while, she took a sip. She put down the milk and used her chopsticks to break the fried egg. "Fried egg, ah." Miki Kujo closed her eyes and ate the fried egg. She chewed as she prepared to fall asleep. Seeing that she was almost done chewing, Toru Watanabe picked up the steaming vegetable soup. He picked up a piece of white radish that was soaked in soup, blew on it twice, and prepared to feed it to Miki Kujo in his arms. Before the radish reached her mouth, Miki Kujo turned her face away from him and buried herself in his arms when she caught a whiff of its scent. "You don't want the white radish?" She didn't say anything. Toru Watanabe ate the white radish himself and picked up the soft red radish. This time it's a red radish. It's so sweet. Come, Miki Kujo took a small bite and didn't want the other half. Toru Watanabe threw the other half of the red radish into his mouth. My beautiful princess, honorable queen, next is the soup. Toru Watanabe blew on the bowl. Hot white steam floated out of the bowl and the room seemed to warm up. Miki Kujo didn't dislike the soup and drank 3 small mouthfuls. Next dish, toast. Toru Watanabe tore off a soft white part of the toast. The sauce is homemade jam. It's delicious. Kujio Miyoshi put the toast into her mouth, her cherry-colored lips moving mechanically. Drink another mouthful of milk. Miki is so obedient. Next is toast, paired with a small bite of vegetables. It's nutritious. She ate less than half of the toast and only took a bite of the vegetables. The rest was eaten by Toru Watanabe. During this time, Miki Kujo closed her eyes and leaned her head on Toru Watanabe's chest. Next is the fragrant scones. They're freshly baked. Toru Watanabe tore open the thin scones. The heat contained in the scones was released at once. The fragrance of the flour after being baked by the charcoal fire also dissipated. He first threw a small piece into his mouth. Delicious. He fed Miki Kujo a little bit, and she ate it. He didn't want to feed her a second time. He tore the rest of the scones into small pieces and soaked them in the vegetable soup. When they were full of soup, he used a spoon to feed Miki Kujo. As she chewed, Toru Watanabe noticed that her long eyelashes were sticking to her porcelain white skin. It was probably because she was sleepy and tearing up. Toru Watanabe was probably the only one who had seen Miki Kujo lose her composure, live, unbridled, and relaxed. He held the spoon in his hand, stretched out his pinky, and gently raised his eyelashes. After finishing this small task, Miki Kujo had already stopped chewing. He fed her another mouthful. When most of the breakfast was gone, Miki Kujo didn't eat anything. She just buried her face in his arms. Toru Watanabe put the bowl and chopsticks away, put her back on the bed, and covered her with the quilt. Sleep well. When you wake up, I'll take you around the village. He whispered in her ear and couldn't help but kiss her soft lips. Toru Watanabe took the tray and left the room. The person who was awake left, and the bedroom returned to silence. After a while, the person who was asleep wrapped the quilt tighter and buried her face in it. Under the light of the winter morning, dust was entangled with each other. Toru Watanabe returned to the living room. Watanabe's mother and Rin Kiyono were eating leisurely. Watanabe's father had already finished his breakfast and left before Toru Watanabe sent the letter. As it was nearing the end of the year, the delivery work was even busier. He could only rest on New Year's Eve. On the stove, the scones were bulging into a ball, and the kettle was steaming. Miki, did you eat? Watanabe's mother asked. Yeah. Toru Watanabe put the tray in the sink. Watanabe's mother stood up and walked to the stove. She poked the bulging scones, and after confirming that they were good, she picked them up with a pair of tongs and put them on Toru Watanabe's plate. Toru Watanabe sat down at the dining table. Auntie is very good to Watanabe-san. Rin Kiyono said with a smile. The scones on the table were no longer hot enough. Toru Watanabe tore open the scones that he had just taken off the stove. He looked at his mother and said to Rin Kiyono, I only came back a few days ago. If you come back in a few days, you won't have any food to eat. What nonsense are you talking about? Watanabe's mother denied. Toru Watanabe took a bite of the scones and drank a mouthful of soup. Do you understand now? He raised his eyebrows at Rin Kiyono. Yes. Rin Kiyono, who could see through lies, nodded. But you do like to talk nonsense. Don't talk nonsense. Auntie, do you know what Watanabe is like in school? He talks to Ms. Koizumi often on the phone. She says that he's doing well. Ms. Koizumi is so pitiful. Rin Kiyono sighed for Aona Koizumi. Auntie Ji, Watanabe always stares at the blackboard. stares at the blackboard. Toru Watanabe stopped drinking the soup and quickly interrupted her. I'm staring at the blackboard, right, Ri-san? Rin Kiyono looked away from Watanabe's mother and smiled at Watanabe. Am I talking nonsense, Watanabe? Nonsense, I'm talking nonsense. Ri-san put on a victorious smile. Mom, the woman in Tokyo is bullying me. Toru Watanabe looked for his mother. Watanabe's mother laughed happily and said to Rin Kiyono, Little Xiao, I'll pay you a visit. Xiaolin, I'll have to trouble you to look after Xiao Che at school in the future. Let me know if anything happens. Okay, Auntie. Let's exchange contact information. Okay. Not only did they exchange emails, but they also added each other as friends. Toru Watanabe remembered that Rin Kiyono never lied, and he was worried about the future. Although he didn't do anything illegal, there were some things, such as looking at Rin Kiyono's legs, that didn't need to be known by his parents. Not only did they exchange contact information, but Watanabe's mother also added Rin Kiyono into the Watanabe family. Toru Watanabe thought for a while and added Miki Kujo, who was still sleeping upstairs. The number of people in the family increased from 3 to 5. Toru Watanabe looked at this number and thought of Masahi, who was far away in Tokyo. Maybe one day, this number will become 6? He wondered what his parents would think of him at that time. Before that, he might have already been killed by Miki Kujo. No, he wouldn't die so easily, he would be slaughtered. The word slaughtered sounded like pigs and sheep. After breakfast, Watanabe's mother cleaned up the dishes. Little Che, go to the Yoshida family's house and help me get the Fukagami dip. I'll be heading out in a bit. Okay. The Fukagami dip was a pickle made from 7 different vegetables. I'll come with you, Rin Kiyono said. All right, I'll take you around and show you the countryside. Rin Kiyono didn't change her clothes. She just wore a sweater and a long skirt as she walked to the entrance with Toru Watanabe. When he was putting on his shoes, Toru Watanabe froze for a moment. What's wrong? Rin Kiyono asked. It's nothing. Toru Watanabe put on his shoes. Let's go. Before breakfast, his son casually told his mother that his feet were a little cold. After breakfast, his son's shoes were covered with a layer of plush cushions. The two of them left Watanabe's house and went to a small path in the village. Apart from the neighbors next door, the furthest house from Watanabe's house was 3 to 4 minutes away. The morning air was filled with tranquility. In the canal, the stream gurgled, giving off a pleasant sound. There was farmland all around, and the roots of the straw were still there. Side by side, the two of them strolled leisurely through the countryside scenery. In June or July, there will be a large field of hydrangeas here. Toru Watanabe pointed at a ridge in the field. Rin Kiyono looked at it and muttered. I've read in many literature books that the fields in the countryside should be full of broad beans and the like. Why are they planting useless hydrangeas? Broad beans are also planted, but soybeans are more common. But that was in the past. Now there are fewer people, and a lot of fields are abandoned. It's true that many years have passed. Rin Kiyono nodded. They're all books from the Showa period. The two of them walked past the ridge in the field that would be full of hydrangeas in June. Next to it was a plastic shed. In the shed, there were vegetables that were not in season. There were a total of 3 ridges: tomatoes, eggplants, and coriander, green peppers, and garlic sprouts. Toru Watanabe left the path, crossed the canal, and stepped into the mud. He opened the shed and walked in. Is this yours? Rin Kiyono followed him in and looked around curiously. No. Toru Watanabe picked 2 red tomatoes, casually wiped them, and handed one to Rin Kiyono. Isn't that stealing? Rin Kiyono looked at the lovely tomato in her hand. It's in our village. Toru Watanabe took a big bite, revealing the red pulp and yellow seeds. This is a symbol of a good relationship between neighbors. And we only took 2. Just like how you have a driver's license in Zei village. You're smart. Toru Watanabe praised. Rin Kiyono sighed. I really hope the police can teach you a lesson. Do you think the police don't steal? Every time that guy comes to our village, he rides a broken bicycle, parks it by the roadside, and goes to the field to pick cucumbers. Don't think that it's not stealing just because you take one each time. Rin Kiyono didn't eat the tomatoes. She took out her phone and squatted down to take photos of the tomatoes and eggplants hanging on the branches. Isn't it a symbol of a good relationship between neighbors? Why is it stealing? She asked as she took photos. He's not from our village. Toru Watanabe had finished eating the tomatoes and threw the fruit stems directly to the ground. Kiyono, who had never seen the world, took photos of the coriander from all angles. The two closed the door of the greenhouse and continued to walk. This village is barren but not decaying. Rin Kiyono looked at the sun rising from the mountains. Yes, it's just like my house. Old but not broken. Toru Watanabe also looked at the mountains in the distance. What's summer like? It's full of green, and the mountains are full of cuckoos. No bonito? Rin Kiyono retracted her gaze and looked at Toru Watanabe. Toru Watanabe also retracted his gaze, and the two looked at each other and smiled. This was a haiku from Yamaguchi Sudo. It's full of green, and the mountains are full of cuckoos, and the bonito is fresh in early summer. What do you mean you don't know? Toru Watanabe said indignantly. If you want to surpass me in literature, you'll have to finish reading my 8-meter-tall family library. Rin Kiyono covered her mouth and laughed. Take it slow, there's still plenty of time. Then, in your own words, what's summer like in Sawamura? Yes, the monotonous chirping of cicadas, the intermittent sound of wind chimes. Monotonous, intermittent. Although it sounds good, compared to it's full of green, and the mountains are full of cuckoos, it's sad. How can it not be sad? Toru Watanabe explained. Do you think it's comfortable in the countryside? It's okay to stay here occasionally, but for those who have seen the city's neon lights, this is a godforsaken place. Forget it, let's not talk about this. Toru Watanabe pointed at the valley at the end of the road and continued, after passing through there, you can see the sea. I'll take you to see it in 2 days. So, this is actually a seaside village? Rin Kiyono recalled that it was indeed the sea. That makes sense. Toru Watanabe clenched his right fist and hammered it into his left palm. So I'm not a child of the mountains, but a child of the sea. Rin Kiyono glared at him with a look that said, What are you thinking about all day? As they spoke, the two of them arrived at Yoshida's house. The layout of the house was similar to that of Watanabe's, with a cement path, a mud front yard, and a simple traditional building. The only difference was that a tractor was parked in the warehouse. Oh, it's Toru. Aunt Yoshida had a pleasant voice. Aunt Yoshida. Toru Watanabe greeted her. This is a friend of mine from a school in Tokyo, Rin Kiyono. Good morning, Auntie Yoshida. Seino Rin folded his hands in front of his abdomen and bowed slightly. What friend? She's your girlfriend. Aunt Yoshida confirmed and smiled at Rin Kiyono. Rin's so beautiful. My girlfriend is sleeping at home. Toru Watanabe patiently explained. You have 2 girlfriends. My mom asked me to come and get the Blessed God dip. Blessed God dip? Oh, there is such a thing. I've already put it in a bottle. Aunt Yoshida went into the house to get the Blessed God dip and said to Toru Watanabe, We're going to dig winter bamboo shoots today. Toru, do you want to come? Sure. Toru Watanabe looked at the second floor. Is Ling-sensei still sleeping? She's still in bed at noon even after school's winter break. Aunt Yoshida was angry when she mentioned her daughter. Toru Watanabe, who used to get up at noon as well, said that if he wanted Ling-sensei to change, he would need to go to Tokyo and meet Miki Kujo there. It was only 8 o'clock when he returned home. Chapter 209. Watanabe Shigeru had already left, and the house was empty. Rest for a bit, I'll start a fire for the stove. Okay. Rin Kiyono nodded, put the tomato on the table, lifted the quilt, and sat down. Toru Watanabe put the blessed god's stain in the kitchen, took some firewood, and started a fire for the stove. This stove was made of tin and was placed in the living room. It was connected to a chimney, and was usually used for cooking, roasting sweet potatoes, baking bread, and keeping water warm. Toru Watanabe picked up a piece of wood and started moving the firewood in the stove to make sure that there was enough oxygen. Looking at the little flames, Toru Watanabe said with nostalgia, "On a snowy day, I can sit around this stove for an entire day. Sometimes, I'll even put sweet potatoes, taro, or potatoes in it, and roast it until the skin is charred, and the outermost layer of meat becomes rice crust. Just one bite and I'll feel so blissful. Hearing you say that, I want to try it." Rin Kiyono looked at the side of his face that was dyed red by the firelight. "When will it snow?" "Early, at least at the end of January. Iwate Prefecture and Hokkaido are only separated by Aomori Prefecture. Even if it's not as cold as Hokkaido, it should still snow early. It's the same for other places in Iwate Prefecture." Toru Watanabe put the firewood in his hand and picked up another one. "But Sawamura is a very special place." "Special?" In front of the fire, Toru Watanabe, who was holding the firewood, said in a reminiscing tone, "It was 16 years ago, during the season when the hydrangeas were in full bloom." "You're lying again," Rin Kiyono said with certainty. "At least wait for me to finish. Anyway, it's another narcissistic lie. Sawamura is special because of the basin? Maybe it's also because it's close to the sea, who knows?" Toru Watanabe didn't care about such things at all. The fire that was about to be extinguished was much more important than geography. The living room fell silent for a while. "Is it extinguished?" Rin Kiyono asked. "Wait." Toru Watanabe raised his hand with a serious expression. "It's not time to admit defeat yet." "Then I'll give you one more minute." "What 1 minute?" Of course, it was the countdown to ridicule. Toru Watanabe knelt on the tatami and blew at the stove. With his powerful lung capacity, the black fire would barely manage to produce a few sparks, but the sparks were extinguished as soon as he stopped breathing. "Is that enough?" "All right, go ahead and smile." Rin Kiyono rubbed his chin and muttered, "I'll give you another chance." "Please speak." Toru Watanabe made a gesture of listening attentively. "I once said something about failure." "If you can say it, I won't laugh at you." Pushkin's "There is no such thing as a master before failure, but in the face of failure, everyone is immortal." That's just an excuse for yourself. Many runners fail at the last few steps. That's right. I'm not interested in Socrates. Then what is it? Ah, I got it. Toru Watanabe clapped his hands. Tagore once said that mistakes can't withstand failure, but the truth is not afraid of failure. Don't think that bringing up Tagore will save you, or do you only know Tagore? Rin Kiyono shot a cold look at Toru Watanabe. Have you forgotten what I said at that time? How can that be? I remember it clearly. I said I didn't forget. So you were pretending to be stupid just now? Yes. Toru Watanabe decisively admitted his mistake. Tell me about it. It's a very pleasant thing to be able to overcome a problem. Is that right? Toru Watanabe looked over proudly, but only saw Rin Kiyono's cold face. Wrong? He said in surprise. It's the first sentence. Rin Kiyono's voice was cold. I remember. I'm not the kind of person who must succeed in everything I do. Watanabe-san, as a villager, something as simple as starting a fire. Arsan. Don't say it, really. I already know that I was wrong. If there's a hole, I'll crawl in right now. Toru Watanabe, who had lost the dignity of a villager, lost the memory challenge, and lost face, launched a second attack on the stove. When the fire in the stove began to burn, Miki Kujo just came down from upstairs. She wore a red baseball uniform and blue jeans, youthful and beautiful, and easy to move around. Tomato? Miki Kujo noticed the tempting tomato on the table, reached for it, and took a small bite. That's mine. Rin Kiyono, who was sitting in the stove, looked at her coldly. I can't eat it? You should at least say thank you. Thank you? Miki Kujo repeated the word. You should be the one thanking me for hearing my beautiful voice so early in the morning. I'll return the exact same words to you. The two of them were narcissistic early in the morning. After starting the fire in the stove, Toru Watanabe came back from the kitchen after washing his hands. We're going to the mountains to dig winter bamboo shoots later. Do you want to come? He asked. We can go and take a look. Miki Kujo walked to the stove. She supported her right elbow with her left hand, and held a fresh tomato in her right hand, which she occasionally took a bite. She looked at the stove in front of her, trying to figure out how it was different from a fireplace. Kiyono-san? Toru Watanabe turned to Rin Kiyono. Rin Kiyono hesitated. Are we going to climb the mountain? Yes, Toru Watanabe answered. But the mountain path is very smooth, so we can take it as a walk. Rin Kiyono was a little tempted. Besides, it's rare for us to come here, so there's still value in trying. Let's take it as a chance to enrich our life experience. Rin Kiyono finally nodded, and her beautiful face was filled with determination. Okay, let's go climb the mountain. No, we're going to dig winter bamboo shoots. Toru Watanabe corrected her. Miki Kujo laughed at Rin Kiyono's weak physical strength. I'm looking forward to the scene of you falling. She took a bite of the tomato expectantly, like a winner enjoying red wine. Rin Kiyono snorted confidently, got up, and went back to her room to change her clothes. When she came back down, she was wearing the school's sportswear. Why are you wearing this? Toru Watanabe asked curiously. I decided to come here a day in advance, so I didn't prepare any sportswear in the apartment, only the school sportswear. Rin Kiyono explained. With her personality, she really wouldn't buy sportswear. Toru Watanabe had never seen her wear sportswear before, and most of her clothes were skirts. After leaving the apartment, Toru Watanabe went to the storeroom to get a hoe and 2 shovels. The sky was as blue as a canvas, and the intermittent white clouds were shaped like baguettes. The three of them walked slowly along the canal. Halfway through, they came face to face with a cow, led by an old man wearing a straw hat. The 2 beautiful girls stared at it as if they had never seen it before. Rin Kiyono took out her phone, ready to take a picture from a suitable angle. Suddenly, the cow stopped in its tracks and defecated a large pile of cow dung, which was still steaming. The 2 beautiful girls held their breaths, furrowed their brows, and desperately turned their faces away. Ha 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 ha. Hearing Toru Watanabe's laughter, Miki Kujo covered her nose and mouth with her left hand, and used her right hand to smack him on the back, making a bang sound. It didn't hurt, but the sound was quite loud. The cow didn't even look at them. There were already a few people gathered in the front yard of the Yoshida family's house. There were no adults, and they were all students digging bamboo shoots as if it were a walk in the spring. Ache, ache. From afar, a little girl wearing overalls waved at Toru Watanabe. The 3 of them walked over, and Toru Watanabe said to the little girl, How many times have I told you, call me Che, Ge. Is that Che for you to call me that? The little girl didn't seem to care about him at all. She stared straight at Rin Kiyono and Miki Kujo, and her eyes started to waver, and then they started to shine. City people. She sounded as if she had discovered an alien. Miki Kujo hadn't reached the age where she was interested in children. She looked at the few women in the front yard who were about the same age. Rin Kiyono smiled at the little girl and said, Yes. Tokyo. Yes. The little girl covered her face with her hands and said with an intoxicated expression, We watched TV this morning, and a comedian introduced Tokyo spaghetti. You like spaghetti? Rin Kiyono asked gently. When the camera was pointed at the shop, a tram ran past. Tram? As expected of Tokyo. The little girl sighed with satisfaction. Tokyo is so awesome. Don't worry about her. Toru Watanabe comforted Rin Kiyono. This little girl's brain is wired differently. You don't have the right to talk about her, do you? Rin Kiyono glanced at him. What nonsense are you talking about? I'm not surprised by the tram. Isn't it normal to have trams in Tokyo? From your answer, I know how abnormal you are. Toru Watanabe really didn't understand what was wrong with him. Shouldn't a normal person be concerned about? Why would they talk about spaghetti and trams? Really? Toru Watanabe didn't believe it. Rin Kiyono touched her forehead and sighed helplessly. Aha! Reiko, who had obviously just woken up, coughed. Well, Toru, introduce them to everyone. I almost forgot. Toru Watanabe didn't care about whether he was normal or not. This is my girlfriend, Miki Kujo. This is my friend, and also a member of a school club, Rin Kiyono. After introducing the two, Toru Watanabe introduced the villagers to them. This is Yoshida Reiko, a teacher at Maizawa branch. She's an old woman, and her special skill is that she can fall asleep sitting down. Don't say anything superfluous. Yoshida Reiko ridiculed, and then laughed, and not only can I fall asleep sitting down, I can also fall asleep standing up. Don't say anything superfluous. Before you talk about others, think about yourself. Toru Watanabe said. He continued with the introduction. This is Ayako Homa, my senior sister. Because she likes Rukawa Kid from Slam Dunk, she went to Kanagawa High School to study, but she joined the blowing club. By the way, she didn't enter the national competition this year. Don't say anything superfluous. I'm talking about you, Toru Watanabe. Ayako Homa's mouth pulled out a ferocious smile. And these two, they're my junior sisters, Kana from the first year of middle school, and Nana from the 5th year of middle school. They're sisters. Hello, Kujo-san, Kiyono-san. The two sisters obediently bowed and greeted them. Hello. The two young ladies returned the greeting. As for this, Toru Watanabe pulled over the little girl who was holding her face with both hands and was still intoxicated. My cousin, Watanabe Ran, a first-year elementary school student who is a little dumber than me, but more abnormal than me. Tokyo's salmon is really amazing. Watanabe Ren sighed. The two beautiful girls were speechless. Let's go. Yoshida Reiko broke the don't know what to do situation. The group walked up the mountain. Watanabe Ren was holding a child's shovel, walking at the front and singing loudly. Red dragonfly in the sunset, please tell me, when did I meet you in my childhood? Pick up the basket and go up the mountain. The mulberry trees are green like a carpet. Pick the mulberry fruits and put them in the basket. Turn back, it's a dream. Ren, it's still morning. Ayako Homa reminded her. Watanabe Ran stopped, shook her index finger, and said in a lecturing tone, Ran, you don't understand. Ling, you really don't understand. When cherry blossoms bloom, they are already buried in the soil. Ah! Ayako Homa was stunned. What? Dubian Lien heaved a heavy sigh and yelled, You're right. Ren, how can you be like this? If you're too dumb, you'll be thrown into the mountains and eaten by wild boars. No, I won't. No, I'm not dumb. At the back of the group, Miki Kujo nodded with interest. Your cousin is very interesting. She's like me. How can she not be interesting? But I feel that she's different from ordinary people. Rin Kiyono, who was at the back, said. I'm also worried about her. I don't know who she's like. Toru Watanabe sighed. The two of them rolled their eyes at him at the same time. Up ahead, there was an unknown conversation in the middle. In order to prove that she wasn't stupid, Hanma Ayako sang Red Dragonfly with Xiaoyan. Red dragonfly in the sunset, where are you? Resting on the tip of the bamboo pole, the red dragonfly is singing. They began to climb the mountain. Not long after they started, Rin Kiyono was already panting with her hands on her knees. Although Miki Kujo was also tired, her steps were still steady. She deliberately walked in front of Rin Kiyono, and occasionally looked back and smiled provocatively at her. Rin Kiyono could not even be sarcastic. She could not get angry and could only bury her head in the mountain. Toru Watanabe was at the back of the group to prevent Rin Kiyono from falling. Her dark and soft hair looked very elegant. Looking at her back, Toru Watanabe, who was not tired to begin with, felt even more relaxed. She kept climbing and climbing with her hands on her knees. "Kiyono classmate, we're here." She only raised her head when she heard Toru Watanabe's voice. Watanabe ran climbed a steep slope from the middle of the mountain path and went into the bamboo forest. The bamboo was green as if it was still spring here. The mountain breeze blew, and the bamboo leaves rustled. In the depths of the forest, the sound of birds chirping could be heard. If one listened carefully, they could hear the intermittent sound of wood being pecked. It turned out to be woodpeckers chirping. The ground of the forest was full of yellow bamboo leaves, and some of them were stained with white bird feces. "Come on." She subconsciously put her hand on the steep slope. That person pulled her, and she used the force to lightly climb the steep slope and enter the edge of the bamboo forest. She raised her head and saw that the person who pulled her was Miki Kujo. "You're welcome," Miki Kujo said with a smile. Rin Kiyono took a deep breath. In the bamboo forest, Lotus Watanabe was singing the story The Girl Born of Bamboo in her tender voice. This happened one day. An old grandpa went to the mountains to cut bamboo, and from the cut of the bamboo, a little girl appeared. The girl grew up healthily. Not long after, she grew into a very beautiful girl. Chapter 210. Let's start digging the bamboo shoots, but only around here. Yes, after Yoshida Reiko gave the order, she took out a picnic cloth and spread it on the ground. She sat down and rested before starting to work. "Ladies, choose the weapons you want." Toru Watanabe showed the two girls the hoe and shovel. The two ladies looked at the fierce hoe and immediately gave up. They chose the shovel at the same time. The shovel in the countryside was not that cute. Rin Kiyono held the shovel and tried it with a hiking stick. She nodded affirmatively. "That, Kiyono-san, that's for digging." Toru Watanabe reminded her. "I know," Rin Kiyono said calmly. As the only believer and the man closest to God, Toru Watanabe naturally understood the deeper meaning of her words. "You're dead if you keep talking. Miki, be careful when digging the bamboo shoots. The shovel is like this." "What are you doing, my princess?" "Seeing if it's convenient." The way Miki Kujo held the shovel made it convenient for her to use force. This convenient for her to use force referred to how she could use it on someone's head. In short, Toru Watanabe slightly raised his voice. "You two be careful, don't hurt yourselves, and don't hurt others. After digging out the bamboo shoots, call me. Don't treat me like a child." Rin Kiyono looked at him with slight displeasure. Everyone slightly separated and found a place to dig the bamboo shoots. Queen Kujo looked at Kiyono-sama provocatively. So, a battle began, around who dug out the first bamboo shoot. After seeing the two girls using the shovel in the right way, Toru Watanabe was relieved. He didn't go far. He stayed beside the two girls and casually turned over the soil to see if he could find the winter bamboo shoots in the soil. After a while, just as he found a bamboo shoot under the weeds and slowly cleaned the soil around it with a hoe, Xiaolian came over with two bamboo poles. "Ache, ache. What happened?" "We found the sword of bamboo." Toru Watanabe leaned the hoe against the bamboo and reached out to take the bamboo in her hand, carefully examining it. It was just that the branches of the bamboo were thin and straight. It looked very similar. Not bad. He crossed the bamboos and assumed a two-blade stance. "Archer, I want to challenge the trial of swords again." "Oh." Toru Watanabe straightened his posture and looked serious. "Are you serious?" Yeah. This is a trial specially prepared for the brave. Once you pass, you can inherit the title of the strongest swordsman in Zei Village, Toru Watanabe. The strongest swordsman in Zei Village. Xiaolian's eyes twinkled as she longed for this title. I want to be the strongest swordsman in Zei village. Humph, that's not all. Oh. During the year I went to Tokyo, my swordsmanship became even stronger. Now the current archer, he's the #1 high school student in Japan. Oh. Xiaolian's eyes widened. Toru Watanabe arrogantly snorted. Ren, you're just a first-grade student. Do you still want to challenge me? Xiaolian pursed her lips and put on a serious expression on her face. I want to challenge the #1 high school student in Japan. Very good. Toru Watanabe returned the shorter bamboo to her. He kept a distance of 3 meters and held his own bamboo with both hands. Come, Ren. Xiaolian held her sword and looked at Toru Watanabe. I want to be the strongest first-grade student in Japan. This momentum. Very good, girl. Defeat me and become a legend. The bamboo swords collided with each other, creating sparks like a train colliding with a railroad track. Their figures intertwined and the bamboo leaves danced. A cold light that could devour life was hidden behind every leaf. In a fight between masters, victory or defeat was decided in an instant. Ran, Toru Watanabe knelt on the ground. You're already the strongest first-grade student in the world. Move forward, carry the name of defeating me, Toru Watanabe, and move forward. The world is yours. His body fell to the ground. Watanabe ran, slowly put away her sword and looked at the village below the mountain. I'm already invincible. Come, Ren. The 2 young ladies who were digging bamboo shoots were attracted by the roar. Thinking that something happened, they looked back and saw an adult and a child, each holding a bamboo stick, confronting each other. I want to be the strongest first-grade student in Japan. The child babbled. This momentum. Toru Watanabe exaggeratedly took a step back, as if there was a strong wind blowing from the opposite side. Very good. He foolishly waved his hand. Girl, defeat me and become a legend. Ah. Watanabe Lien rushed forward. Toru Watanabe used the speed of Chinese Tai Chi to meet her with the bamboo stick. Ha, ha, ha. Every time Watanabe Ren made a ha sound, she hit Toru Watanabe's bamboo stick. Then, she suddenly stopped and changed her direction, sliding on Toru Watanabe's stomach. Toru Watanabe staggered forward a few steps, and the 2 bodies crossed each other. He covered his waist, trying to avoid touching bird feces and stones, kneeling on the ground. Ran, you're already the strongest first-grade student in the world. He even paused for a moment. His seriously injured acting was very good. Move forward, carry the name of defeating me, Toru Watanabe, and move forward. The world is yours. After that, he looked around, found a clean place, and lay down. Watanabe Ran, who didn't look back, put the bamboo stick into her overalls. The bamboo stick fell to her butt and stopped. She looked in the direction she came from and said, We're already invincible. It was obvious that she wanted to act as lonely as possible, but her tone was flat. Her acting skills were crushed by her brother. The 2 beautiful girls. Miki Kujo walked to Toru Watanabe's corpse. She crossed her arms, raised her foot, and stepped on Toru Watanabe's butt. Who is it? Why did you step on me? Toru Watanabe turned his face, following the beautiful curve of her long legs under her jeans, and saw the gloomy face of Miki Kujo. Miki Kujo raised her foot and stepped on his but a second time. Miki? Miki Kujo stepped on it a third time. Are you giving me a massage? I'm digging bamboo shoots over there, sweating, and you're playing here? How can you say that I'm playing? This is a battle between the strongest swordsmen in Sawamura. Miki Kujo wanted to step on Toru Watanabe's head. But when she thought about the dirty shoes she was wearing, and when Toru Watanabe licked her neck, nibbled on her collarbone, and sucked there, she liked to hug his head and put her hands in his hair, so she decided not to. The 4th time she stepped on his butt. Kiyono-san, save me. Toru Watanabe, who was lying on the ground, reached out to Rin Kiyono. Rin Kiyono elegantly wiped her sweat with her sleeve and said, "Kujo-san, can I step on you too?" "Kiyono-san, you?" Toru Watanabe was abandoned by his god. Miki Kujo could bully her boyfriend however she wanted, but she would never allow anyone else to touch him. She retracted her foot and looked down at Toru Watanabe with disdain. "Get up, how long are you going to lie there for?" "Oh." Tetsumasa Watanabe was about to get up when Xiaolian, who had recovered from the intoxication of being invincible, walked over and stepped on his left but with her small foot. She held her face like a first-grade student with both hands, her eyes sparkling as she fell into intoxication again. "So this is what it feels like to step on the enemy's corpse." Looking at Toru Watanabe being stepped on by a first-grade student, Rin Kiyono covered her mouth with her hand, turned her face away, and laughed with her thin shoulders trembling. "Miki, you're teaching my sister bad things." Miki Kujo raised her foot and stepped on his right butt. "What are you guys doing?" Ayako Homa, who came to borrow a hoe, looked at the scene in front of her with a shattered worldview. "Ling, we're already the strongest first-grade student in Japan." "Oh, that's amazing. But why did you step on your brother?" At noon, the group of people went down the mountain with half a bag of bamboo shoots carried by Yoshida Reiko. They went back to Reiko's house first. Aunt Yoshida used fresh bamboo shoots to make a meal for them. Miki Kujo thought it was ordinary, but Rin Kiyono thought it was delicious. She liked these fresh vegetables. After the meal, everyone took 1 or 2 bamboo shoots back. "Xiaolian, Auntie will get you a bamboo basket, okay?" "Okay, thank you." The bamboo basket that Aunt Yoshida gave Xiaolian was the kind for children. It was very small. Aunt Yoshida put in the biggest bamboo shoot, and it was full. "Can Xiaolian carry it?" Aunt Yoshida asked. "It's okay," Toru Watanabe said. "Xiaolian is already the strongest first-grade student. This is not a problem." "I see. Congratulations, Xiaolian." Aunt Yoshida touched Xiaolian's head. "We still have to work hard. We're already the strongest, why do we still have to work hard?" Ayako Homa crossed her arms behind her head, which was a sharp contrast to the elegance of the two ladies. "Ling, we're really worried about you." Xiaolian, who was carrying the small bamboo basket, looked worried. "Why?" "If we don't work hard, we might not be the strongest when we reach the 2nd grade. Ling, don't you know this?" "In the end, I don't know about being the strongest first-grade student. Aren't you the only first-grade student in our village?" Xiaolian angrily snorted, "MMM." She grabbed the hem of Honma's silk shirt and shook it vigorously. "We're the strongest in Japan. We're the strongest in Japan. I know. Don't shake me. I just ate and my stomach feels uncomfortable." After distributing the winter bamboo shoots, they said goodbye to Aunt Yoshida and went home separately. Toru Watanabe was worried about Xiaolian, so he followed her back. "Look, is that a civet? Is it a civet? It's a raccoon. It's a weasel. Today is the same as usual. The wind blows by, la la la." Xiaolian, who was carrying the bamboo basket, breathlessly sang a self-composed song while waving the sword that defeated Toru Watanabe. "Xiaolian, do you want to come to my house to do winter homework later?" "Yes." When they were almost home, she grabbed the bamboo basket's shoulder strap and rushed home. "We dug big bamboo shoots back. Xiaolian, run slower." Toru Watanabe stood at the door and chatted with Xiaolian's mother about Tokyo. Xiaolian came out with her backpack. "We're going to Archer's house to do homework. Are you coming back for dinner?" "Yes." "I want to eat the bamboo shoots I dug myself." While Xiaolian sat at the entrance and carefully put on her shoes, Toru Watanabe said to Xiaolian's mother, "I'll bring Xiaolian back for dinner. Please help Xiaolian with her homework, Archer." "Xiaolian is the smartest primary school student in the world." Toru Watanabe rubbed Xiaolian's head. "She doesn't need my help." Xiaolian put on her shoes and stood up straight. "Archer, I'm the smartest primary school student in Japan. The whole world is bigger than Japan. I'm the smartest primary school student in Japan. Yes, 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 Xiaolian is the smartest primary school student in Japan. Xiaolian's mother looked at the siblings and smiled. On the way to Watanabe's house, the siblings took 2 tomatoes from the greenhouse and ate while walking. When they arrived at Watanabe's house, Xiaolian's lips and hands were full of tomato juice. She skillfully washed her hands and mouth at the well in front of Watanabe's house. When they entered the house, the 2 young ladies had already taken a bath and changed into their home clothes. Xiaolian stood at the door of the living room and looked at the 2 in surprise. What's wrong? Rin Kiyono asked her in confusion. Beauties. Xiaolian's eyes lit up. When they were wearing baseball uniforms and sportswear, the 2 young ladies looked slightly more approachable. Now that they had changed into fashionable and beautiful home clothes, their long black hair and slender limbs looked beautiful and noble. Rin Kiyono said with a smile, Xiaolian is also very cute. Can we also become beauties like sister? Your brother is very handsome. If nothing unexpected happens, Xiaolian will be as cute as us. We can also become beauties. Xiaolian held her face with both hands and said to herself, Archer is so awesome. Whether you can become a beauty or not has nothing to do with whether I'm awesome or not. Toru Watanabe corrected, let's go in. Toru Watanabe also took a bath and changed his clothes. The 4 of them sat in the fireplace and did their winter vacation homework together. Xiaolian's homework was holiday observation. She wrote about how they went up the mountain to dig bamboo shoots today and attached pictures of everyone holding bamboo shoots. Archer, 1 bamboo shoot, Ling, 1 bamboo shoot, Kana, 1 bamboo shoot. She hummed this song as she drew. Xiaolian, you'll look better if you draw like this here. Rin Kiyono pointed out. Like this? It's true. Beauties are so awesome. I'm a beauty, but this has nothing to do with being a beauty. Is there anything more amazing than a beauty? There's a lot more. Here, don't you think you'll look better if I draw like this? Beauties, Xiaolian held her face with both hands and said to herself, are really amazing. One taught while the other learned. Miki Kujo and Toru Watanabe worked hard to finish their winter vacation homework as soon as possible. When they were almost done with their winter vacation homework, Toru Watanabe was kicked. He looked up and saw Miki Kujo winking at him, asking him to go outside with her. Rin Kiyono and Xiaolian were sitting together. One was physically weak, and the other was an elementary school student. They were already asleep. Toru Watanabe got up gently and followed Miki Kujo out of the living room. Miki, what? Before he could finish, Miki Kujo wrapped her arms around his neck and pressed her lips against his. Toru Watanabe naturally wrapped his arms around her slender waist. At this time in Watanabe's house, other than the sound of the firewood burning in the fireplace in the living room, there was only the sound of sticky saliva. Their lips parted, and the 2 of them leaned their foreheads against each other. What's wrong? Toru Watanabe asked in a low voice. Miki Kujo's face was flushed red, and she blew a breath full of lust. This is to make up for Christmas. It's all her fault for sleeping in the same room as me. I've been thinking about it since last night. Miki, you're so perverted. Don't talk nonsense, hurry up. Yes, my queen. Toru Watanabe carried her and prepared to go upstairs. Don't go, right here. Right here. Toru Watanabe was shocked. This was the hallway beside the living room, and it faced the entrance. If we go upstairs, we won't know if they're awake. We can watch them from here. That's true, but... No, I'm going in. What else could Toru Watanabe say? He pressed Miki Kujo against the wall, where he eavesdropped on their conversation last night. He kissed Miki's snow-white, slender neck, pinched her plump peaks, and lifted her skirt. The noble beauty that Xiaolian envied was being ravaged just like that. Halfway through. Miki, you didn't wear a skirt on purpose, did you? Toru Watanabe's breath was hot. Miki Kujo didn't say anything. She just leaned back and stuck out her pink, moist tongue. In the living room, Rin Kiyono and Xiaolian were still asleep. Chapter 211. Miki Kujo's voice was hoarse and beautiful. It was just a simple hum, but it was like the most moving melody in the world. The air also changed, becoming mellow and undulating. Toru Watanabe saw roses full of thorns, blooming beautifully. On a distant mountain ridge, a white windmill slowly rotated clockwise. The sun looked down at Sawamura. It looked at this quiet village, peeking from the walls to the roof, and peeking into the house through the windows and the cracks in the door. Inside the house, the colors sprinkled on the corridor gradually dimmed, showing a faint amber color. Time passed, and the sunlight turned into the sunset. Xiaolian woke up. Toilet, toilet! She rubbed her eyes and walked out of the living room, and she met Miki Kujo around the corner. She looked up and saw Miki Kujo frowning, holding the wall motionlessly. "What's wrong? Does your stomach hurt?" Xiaolian asked in a childish voice. Miki Kujo didn't say anything. Xiaolian tilted her head, still not fully awake, and looked at her in confusion. Suddenly, her eyes widened, and her whole body seemed to have been startled. Could it be that beauties? Will their legs go numb after going to the toilet for a long time? Her worldview and outlook on life had been reconstructed. Miki Kujo's legs were indeed numb, but it wasn't because she went to the toilet. Toru Watanabe came out of the toilet. "Xiaolian, you're awake?" "Yeah." Xiaolian nodded at him obediently, and then suddenly remembered something and said loudly, "Ah Che, it's amazing. Even if I become a beauty, my legs will go numb after going to the toilet." "Beauties don't go to the toilet," Toru Watanabe said expressionlessly. "Really?" Xiaolian opened her mouth wide in surprise, and then she was disappointed. "It seems that I won't be a beauty." After Xiaolian went to the toilet, Toru Watanabe couldn't help but laugh. "Miki, my Miki, your legs went numb after going to the toilet?" Miki Kujo glared at him. "Hurry up and help me in." Okay. Toru Watanabe reached out to help her. Miki Kujo wanted to move, but her thighs immediately went numb. She couldn't help but gasp. "Wait a little longer." She frowned seductively. Toru Watanabe couldn't help laughing again. When Miki Kujo glared at him, he quickly stopped smiling and explained, "You were the one who wanted to be here. It has nothing to do with me. You lifted my leg so high. Is that what I wanted?" Miki Kujo said coldly. "I just want to see how flexible your body is, Miki." "Flexibility? I'm not doing yoga for." "Let's go." Miki Kujo glared at Toru Watanabe and shut her mouth. "Little Lien, should I send you back now?" Toru Watanabe asked. "Okay." Little Lien nodded obediently. Toru Watanabe said to Miki Kujo, "Then I'll send her back first." Miki Kujo didn't say anything. She was still struggling with her numb legs. After Toru Watanabe and Little Lien left, Rin Kiyono also woke up. She rubbed her sore shoulders and walked out of the living room. She also encountered Miki Kujo. "Ah," Rin Kiyono touched her lips and said with a chuckle, "Are your legs numb after going to the toilet for too long? Does it have anything to do with you?" Miki Kujo said coldly. Rin Kiyono smiled carelessly. She brushed her long hair off her shoulders and prepared to go to the toilet on the second floor. When she passed by Miki Kujo, she suddenly poked Miki Kujo's thigh with her finger. Ouch! Miki Kujo's expression was painful. It was as if she was soaking her feet in scalding hot water. "What are you doing?" she angrily shouted. No one dared to tease her like this. Even Toru Watanabe only dared to be so presumptuous in bed. "This is your punishment for eating my tomato this morning." Rin Kiyono stood on the stairs that Miki Kujo's hand couldn't reach. "I'm very vengeful, Kujo-san." "You're dead," Kujio Miki said coldly, emphasizing each word. "I'll wait for you." Rin Kiyono turned around and walked upstairs. Miki Kujo gritted her teeth, endured the numbness in her thigh, and chased after her. Because her thigh had been numb for a while, and because of Rin Kiyono's sneak attack, she was able to endure the numbness. Hearing the sound of footsteps, Qingyi Rin realized that something was wrong, but before he could react, he let out an "ah," and was caught by Kujio. From behind Rin Kiyono, Miki Kujo pressed her against the wall. Her hands held her wrists, and her legs restrained her legs. Miki Kujo learned this position from Toru Watanabe. As someone who had experienced it, she knew how to stop the other party from using force. "I told you you're dead." Miki Kujo sneered. "I heard that Kujo-san relies on wisdom to lead the Kujo family. In the end, when you meet me, you can only rely on brute force?" Rin Kiyono didn't care as she replied. "Aren't you the same? You say you're honest and never lie, but in the end you're taking advantage of me? Kujo-san, the opposite of honesty is hypocrisy. Even Watanabe-san knows this level of basic knowledge. Also, just because a person is honest doesn't mean they're a good person." "I've never said that I'm a good person." Miki Kujo sneered. "Your mouth is quite powerful." "Because I don't advocate brute force. That's something only barbarians do." "Barbarians? Today I'll let you know the power of barbarians." Miki Kujo reached a hand into Rin Kiyono's clothes. Her fingers were like feathers as they lightly brushed against the smooth and beautiful curves of her abdomen, tickling her. "Ah!" Apart from the initial scream, Rin Kiyono's soft and sparkling lips were tightly pursed. She didn't beg for mercy, nor did she make a sound. However, tears uncontrollably flowed out of her eyes as her body subconsciously struggled. "Are you admitting defeat?" Miki Kujo's hand reached into her clothes. Maintaining this position, Miki Kujo's hand was a little sore. Rin Kiyono took a deep breath and said in a cold voice, "Childish. I like stubborn people the most." Miki Kujo laughed happily, but her laughter was full of malice. "Besides tickling, what else can you do to me?" Rin Kiyono said disdainfully. "Oh." Miki Kujo's tone was full of ridicule and admiration. "Then what about this?" Rin Kiyono's expression changed. Between the skin of her back and the strap of her underwear, there was a finger hooked in. And this finger was pulling the strap of her underwear back like a slingshot. She closed her eyes and endured the impending pain of her underwear being pulled against her skin. At this moment, what are you doing?" At the door, Watanabe's mother, who was carrying bags of various sizes, looked at the scene in the corridor in surprise. Miki Kujo pressed Rin Kiyono against the wall. Her left hand grabbed both of her wrists, and her right hand reached into her clothes. Rin Kiyono was panting. Her face was red, and her clothes were messy. One could see her snow-white slender waist. The three of them looked at each other. At this time, only the sound of the firewood burning in the living room could be heard in Watanabe's house. "Pa!" Miki Kujo let go of her hand, and her underwear bounced onto Rin Kiyono's body. As a woman, everyone present knew what was going on. "It's just a joke." Miki Kujo retracted her hand, crossed her arms, and explained calmly. "You can say that it's just a joke, but it's also a form of physical bullying." Rin Kiyono tidied up her clothes. "I see." Watanabe's mother nodded as if she understood. In fact, she didn't understand anything. "I'll go make dinner. It'll be ready soon." Rin Kiyono wanted to help. She took a few steps toward the kitchen, but then turned around and went upstairs. Because of Miki Kujo's antics, she almost forgot to go to the bathroom. Toru Watanabe heard about this matter from his mother. After he sent Xiaolian back home, his mother called him to help out in the kitchen. Then, she secretly told him about this matter. After hearing this, he exclaimed in surprise, "Ah!" At the same time, Rin Kiyono walked into the kitchen to help serve the dishes. His mother gave him a look that said, "Keep your voice down." She smiled and handed the soy sauce roasted bamboo shoots to Rin Kiyono. When Rin Kiyono was about to leave, Toru Watanabe looked at her back and hesitated. "Kiyono, what's the matter?" Are you guys okay? I'll win it back. Rin Kiyono didn't look back. After she left, Toru Watanabe shrugged at his mother, indicating that it was okay. When the meal was ready, Watanabe's father also came back. The five of them sat in the same seats as yesterday. I'll start eating. During the meal, Toru Watanabe noticed that Rin Kiyono's plates and chopsticks were replaced with new ones. Then why didn't you buy me a new set? Toru Watanabe thought as he drank the miso soup made with radishes and tofu. Miki, are you used to sleeping at night? Watanabe's mother asked. Everything else is fine. I'm just not used to having someone by my side. Miki Kujo ate the pork in the cold pork dish. Liar. Rin Kiyono ate the fresh roasted bamboo shoots. Miki Kujo put the half-eaten pork in the bowl, looked at her, and said word by word, I'm not used to having someone by my side other than Che. What's wrong with being able to sleep next to a beauty like me? Rin Kiyono took a sip of the miso soup and showed an expression of enjoyment. It's okay to be narcissistic, but you have to know who you're talking to. How dare you say such things in front of me? Miki Kujo ate the pork in one bite. She also wasted a lot of energy today, whether it was morning, afternoon, or dusk. This scene was normal in Toru Watanabe's eyes. He turned a deaf ear and buried his head in eating. This was the most suitable method for him after many experiences of persuading people to fight. But in the eyes of Watanabe's parents, the two were just quarreling. Watanabe's mother thought of the scene she saw at dusk and couldn't help but worry. She interrupted the two and asked Miki Kujo, Miki, when did you and Che start dating? Miki Kujo didn't answer, but asked Toru Watanabe, when? May. Toru Watanabe answered. Specifics. Miki Kujo continued to ask. May 29th. Toru Watanabe continued to answer. More specifics. May 29th 11:05, I confessed. 12:11, you agreed to confess. Miki Kujo put a piece of pork in Toru Watanabe's bowl. Watanabe's mother looked at this scene and said with a smile, Miki, our family has no money. We can't afford to buy a house in Tokyo. It's been hard on you. I like Che. What does it have to do with whether you're poor or not? Watanabe's mother didn't know what to say. Watanabe's father, who had been silent, nodded in agreement and said, as long as you like each other, any difficulties can be overcome. We don't have any difficulties. Miki Kujo said, on the contrary, if you have any difficulties in life or encounter any trouble, you can find Toru Watanabe and let him tell me. After all, I'm married to Che. You're also my parents. Watanabe's father didn't know what to say. The table fell into a subtle silence for a while. Chin-Yi Rin held the bowl and gently blew on the miso soup. The sound of the miso soup could be heard very clearly. By the way, when I delivered the letter this morning, Uncle Hanma asked me to get persimmons. At this time, only Toru Watanabe stood up. Bring some back and let Miki and Rin try it. Watanabe's mother said. Bring some natto. Hanma likes it too. Watanabe's father added. Okay. Toru Watanabe nodded. Watanabe, Rin Kiyono said, I heard from Auntie Ji that you've been delivering newspapers and letters for a long time. Is that true? Not too long ago. About the first year of middle school, Toru Watanabe replied. Rin Kiyono nodded and praised, You're indeed better than the average person. Although I like, considering that Watanabe's parents were here, she cleared her throat and skipped the words, lying and kicking. Thank you. Toru Watanabe wasn't thanking her for the compliment. He was better than the average person. There was nothing to say. He was thanking Rin Kiyono for not saying the rest. She remembered that when she went to MT Takao for the cultural festival, she had said in front of Tamamo-nome, compared to Tamamo-san, I have a better relationship with you. I feel more comfortable letting you carry my bag for me. When Rin Kiyono came to Iwate Prefecture, Toru Watanabe was worried that she would be honest in front of his parents and tell them everything about him at school. Thinking of this, Rin Kiyono changed a little. she was not as unreasonable as before. "You should be thanking me," Seigo Rin said as he looked at him. "You are a god. I am infinitely grateful to you." Toru Watanabe replied. Wait, how did Rin Kiyono know what he was thinking? Could it be that her ability had evolved and she was really going to become a god? "You got up before dawn to deliver letters in the cold wind. The money you earned wasn't even enough to pay for the bus ride home." Miki Kujo sneered disdainfully. Toru Watanabe came back to his senses and listened to her continue. "I admire Toru's determination and ability to endure hardships, but I won't allow you to work so hard anymore." "It's not about hardships." Rin Kiyono's voice was calm. Miki Kujo's tone was full of, "It's none of your business." Toru Watanabe looked at his parents. Their expressions were very interesting and hard to describe. This was the Azura Arena in Tokyo. It was not something that could be seen in Iwate Prefecture. "Kujo-san, your money is your money. You can give it to Watanabe-san, but you can't stop him from earning money by himself. You have money, but you let your boyfriend, your future husband, do this kind of hard work, is that right? He can choose not to do it and use your money without worry, but that's his own business. You can only give him a choice, but you can't force him to choose. What if I want to? That's not love, it's just possessiveness." Rin Kiyono coldly said. "No matter what your love is, my love is just like that." Miki Kujo said indifferently, "I'll give him a lot of money and let him develop the same concept of consumption as me. He'll give up the inefficient job of delivering newspapers and become inseparable from me forever. If you do this, Watanabe-san will no longer be himself. You'll only make him a waste." "Kiyono-san," Toru Watanabe couldn't help but interject, "he's not a waste." Rin Kiyono gave him a look that said, "Shut up." "Waste?" Miki Kujo sneered, "Who do you think made him learn the oboe? Also, when have I ever stopped him from studying hard? Even when he surpassed me, I didn't say anything about him. Within your permission, he's like a pig that's been forced to grow fat since childhood. He's not free," Rin Kiyono retorted. "Kiyono-san," Toru Watanabe couldn't help but say, "Can you change your metaphor?" Rin Kiyono gave him a look that said, "I deliberately said it in such a serious way, but you don't reflect on it at all? So you're saying that it's fine if this pig pops out of the fence? Even if it runs into other people's fences, it'll be eaten by other people?" Miki Kujo sneered. "No, you too." "What?" The two stared at him coldly. "So scary." "Then, let's start choosing. Selfless, altruistic, gentle love, strong, possessive, dependent love. If both of them are loyal, which one should I choose?" Chapter 212. Generally speaking, whether it's in reality or in a light novel, the girl will subconsciously or deliberately behave better when she goes to the guy's house, right? Who would quarrel like them at the dining table in front of their parents? Toru Watanabe always felt that there was something wrong with the girls around him. Although they were outstanding, they always exceeded ordinary people in certain aspects. Facing the two girls' gazes, Toru Watanabe chose his words carefully. "You're both strong-willed people. Although there's a saying that the more you argue, the clearer the truth becomes, the more you argue. Also," he continued, "how about we continue this when we return to Tokyo? Rest well for the next few days and enjoy the new year in the countryside." Rin Kiyono and Miki Kujo looked at each other and continued to eat without saying a word. They picked up their chopsticks, drank their soup, and ate their food. Their actions were exactly the same. Is their relationship good or bad? Toru Watanabe withdrew his gaze from them and made a gesture to his stunned parents that said, "Don't be alarmed, I've already taken care of it. You can continue to eat." His pompous and arrogant look made Miki Kujo angry at first sight. Under the table, his big toe and two toes separated and pinched his calf. The two girls finished eating first and didn't stay in the living room. Instead, they returned to their room on the second floor and took turns bathing. After watching the two girls leave, Watanabe's mother whispered, Toru, you and Rin. Friends. I haven't finished asking yet. Whether or not you finished asking, we're still friends. Watanabe stared suspiciously at her stubborn son. Mom, no matter how much you stare at me, we're still friends. Is that so? Watanabe's mother pursed her lips and smiled meaningfully. Watanabe's father remained silent. It seemed that he didn't care about his son, but in fact, he wanted his son to make his own decision. A mother's love repeatedly urged, while a father's love was silent. After dinner, Watanabe's father went next door to find someone to drink, while Toru Watanabe helped his mother clean up the dishes. After the dishes were washed, he returned to the living room and squatted by the stove to eat rice cakes. While Watanabe's mother was watching a TV series, Rin Kiyono, who had changed her clothes, walked in. Her hair was still wet from the hairdryer. Her skin, which was usually as white as porcelain, was slightly rosy after a bath. Toru Watanabe glanced at Seino Rin and didn't think much of it. Instead, it was Mother Watanabe who kept praising Seino Rin for being cute. At that moment, even the snakes that were hibernating in the fields and using their tongues to sense the world could tell how much she liked Seino Rin. After a while, Watanabe's mother. Little Rin is the cutest girl. Auntie, there's no girl cuter than me around, but there are 7 billion humans. It's very likely that there will be someone more beautiful than me. Rin Kiyono's unique modesty. Little Rin is also one of the cutest girls. Is it that exaggerated? In front of the stove, Toru Watanabe couldn't help but say. Ah, Rin Kiyono looked at him. Watanabe, have you seen a girl cuter than me? Not now, but it doesn't mean that there won't be one in the future. That means there won't be one. Toru Watanabe was speechless. Rin Kiyono looked away with satisfaction. She said to Watanabe's mother, Auntie, one of won't do. I have to continue to work hard to be the only one. Watanabe's mother was amused. She didn't know that Rin Kiyono was telling the truth. I can't stand it. Do you plan to become more beautiful? Toru Watanabe turned the roasted rice cake over. There was already brown rice crust on it. It looked very appetizing. Watanabe, don't you want me to become more beautiful? Rin Kiyono asked. What does it have to do with me whether you're beautiful or not? You really disappoint me, Rin Kiyono sighed. I thought you would support all my decisions. How can all my decisions be so exaggerated? Toru Watanabe turned around and said, It's just that. Just what? Rin Kiyono chuckled and asked. Nothing. Toru Watanabe turned around and continued to stare at his roasted rice cake. Mom, you're smiling too happily. Watanabe Iko was watching the scene from the side. He really couldn't stand it. The rice cake's surface was bubbling, and the inside began to soften. The TV was playing The Long Vacation, starring Takuya Kimura. This was a TV series that once created a legend in the ratings. Watanabe's mother watched it every year. Watanabe, can you show me your childhood photos? Rin Kiyono asked. They're in the third drawer of the bookshelf in my room. Go get them yourself, Toru Watanabe said without turning around. Rin Kiyono stood up and bowed to Watanabe's mother before leaving the living room. As soon as she disappeared from the living room door, Watanabe's mother couldn't help but tease her son. You still say that you're friends? You're really friends. Would friends show each other their photo albums? Wouldn't they? Would friends bring their friends home for a night? Isn't that normal? Everyone does that. It's normal to go home for a night. But would you bring your friends home for the new year? Kiyono and I are really friends. It's just that our relationship is a little better than ordinary friends. So our relationship is only a little better than ordinary friends. Rin Kiyono walked into the living room. You were eavesdropping. Toru Watanabe couldn't believe it. He was furious. Kiyono, there are 2 things I hate most in my life. 1. Hiding behind the living room. 2. Eavesdropping. Xiao Che, watch your words. Watanabe's mother reprimanded. She couldn't see through Toru Watanabe's bluff, but how could Rin Kiyono not see through it? This was also the reason why Toru Watanabe dared to say all kinds of sweet words to her. Because she knew it was fake. But lately, Toru Watanabe had been saying less and less. You disappoint me. Rin Kiyono turned around and went upstairs. Look at you. Watanabe's mother was dissatisfied. Rin is a guest. How can you talk to her like that? No, I apologize to her properly later. This rice cake is done. Don't eat it. Ask Rin if she wants to eat it. Did you hear what I said? Yes, I heard you. Being honest doesn't mean being straightforward. Everyone, Rin Kiyono is a bad woman. Toru Watanabe took 2 more rice cakes and baked them together with the previous one. He couldn't possibly have a friend but not a girlfriend, right? Miki Kujo would bake him like a rice cake. After baking the rice cakes, Toru Watanabe took the white sugar and soy sauce and accepted his mother's mission of apologizing properly. In his room, Rin Kiyono sat at the table and flipped through the photo album. Miki Kujo was drying her hair. I don't know what you like to eat with, so I brought white sugar and soy sauce. Toru Watanabe said. Japanese people like to wrap their rice cakes with Shanghai moss and dip it in soy sauce. But Toru Watanabe preferred white sugar. White sugar is fine. Rin Kiyono said. Here. Toru Watanabe put down the white sugar and a piece of rice cake. Thank you. Rin Kiyono picked up the rice cake with her chopsticks, dipped it in white sugar and took a bite. Her teeth sank into the rice cake and made a crisp sound. The sound was very warm. When the rice cake's soft insides were pulled and bitten, it felt like a winter Chinese New Year. Rin Kiyono dipped it in white sugar again. She ate while flipping through the photo album. Watanabe's mother imagined that the 2 of them would quarrel. Miki, do you want to eat? Toru Watanabe walked over. Miki Kujo did not say whether she wanted to eat or not. Come and blow dry my hair. She passed the hairdryer to Toru Watanabe and took the plate with the rice cake and soy sauce. Toru Watanabe ran his fingers through her long, straight hair. It was still wet and would take some time to dry. He used his hand to test the temperature and style of the hairdryer, trying to adjust it to the right setting. After he was done, he remembered that Miki Kujo had already adjusted it. He gently fiddled with her hair while his other hand, which was holding the hairdryer, blew it slightly further away. Miki Kujo dipped it in soy sauce and ate the rice cake in small bites. Is it good? Toru Watanabe asked. It's okay. It's mainly because my hands are sore. When her hair was almost dry, Miki Kujo returned the plate to Toru Watanabe. She took 2 bites of each of the 2 rice cakes. Toru Watanabe could only eat the rice cake that she had eaten before. The white sugar was left behind by Rin Kiyono. Everything had been used by someone before. Poor Toru Watanabe's experience of eating rice cakes. On the 27th of December, the end of the year was approaching. Watanabe's house began to clean. Toru Watanabe pushed a rag and sprinted back and forth in the corridor. What are you doing? Rin Kiyono, who had a headscarf on her head and a rag in her hand, asked Toru Watanabe unhappily. I'm wiping the floor. What's wrong? Toru Watanabe looked up in confusion. Then why are you shouting so loudly? Are you a child? Casino-san, this is where you don't understand. Cleaning is a painful thing for me, so I have to make it fun. Fun means roaring and screaming. Of course not. For example, just now when I was sprinting, I wanted to see if I could use the wind to blow up your skirt. Once I thought of this possibility, it wasn't so hard to clean the floor. Are you a pervert? No, no, no. Tetsuya Watanabe shook his head with a serious expression. Blowing up your skirt is not my goal. What I want is an easy job. I understand what you mean. Rin Kiyono nodded. You really are a pervert. Call me whatever you want. Child, pervert, childish? I don't care what others think. By the way, I learned this from Kiyono God. You really care about being a pervert. Rin Kiyono put her hand on her forehead and said helplessly, I don't remember teaching you this. This is called drawing parallels, deducing 3 things from one case, deducing 3 things from one corner, deducing 10 things from one hearing, asking a cow to know a horse, from small details. Xiao Che. Watanabe's mother's voice came from the living room. Coming. Toru Watanabe hung a wet rag by the bucket, walked around the corridor in front of the entrance, and walked into the living room. Watanabe Ji stood in front of the phone. Miki Kujo was curled up in the quilt and lying on the floor. She supported her head with her left hand and flipped through Toru Watanabe's summer vacation observation diary with her right hand. Where did that thing come from? My family called and asked you to get the persimmons. Watanabe's mother said. Now. Seeing his reluctance, Watanabe's mother asked in surprise, Since when did you like cleaning so much? No one can stay the same. Cleaning is such an interesting thing. It was only a matter of time before I fell in love with it. Watanabe's mother didn't understand her son who stayed in Tokyo for half a year and was too lazy to ask. Remember to bring the natto and come back quickly. Come back early and help clean. Okay, I'll ride the motorcycle. Toru Watanabe replied. When he left, he noticed Miki Kujo lying in the quilt. She certainly wouldn't do the cleaning. If she continued to stay like this, even if she understood that rich people didn't need to clean themselves, Watanabe's mother was afraid that she would be dissatisfied with her. Miki, my Miki. What? Come with me? Not going. Didn't we agree? I'll ride the Honda Coyote and take you for a ride. A motorcycle can also take a ride. In the past, Gregory Peck rode a scooter, carrying the European princess Audrey Hepburn, wandering in the streets of Rome. Today, I, Toru Watanabe, also rode a scooter, taking the Japanese Princess Miki, walking all over the countryside. The two of them were not together at the end of Roman holiday. Don't confuse the movie with reality. Audrey Hepburn is not a princess at all. Toru Watanabe said indifferently. Miki Kujo breathed out through her nose and slowly got up impatiently. Hurry up, I'm going to get the natto and the cart. Toru Watanabe said and walked to the place where the natto was placed at home. The natto was wrapped in straw and looked like a white rabbit candy. There were a total of 4 bundles. Toru Watanabe took 1 bundle and sprinkled a powder of chi and blood medicine on the other 3 bundles to ensure that no one would notice. 3 was not a lot, but it was enough to keep Watanabe's father healthy for a period of time and not get sick. Next year, he would continue to put it in the natto. As for his mother, Toru Watanabe was wondering if he should put honey in her bowl or put the drug in the soup. There was also Miki Kujo and Rin Kiyono. These few days, he was active in the countryside all day, so he secretly gave them some to eat. He let them think that it was because the air in the countryside was good and that he exercised more. Toru Watanabe took the sleeping natto and walked to the warehouse. He opened the box of the Honda Coyote. Miki Kujo glanced at the definitely uncomfortable back seat. You want me to sit in this? It's uncomfortable. Toru Watanabe nodded. Why don't we walk? It's not far. No. Miki Kujo laughed as if she thought of something fun. I'll take you. You ride. Do you know how to? Toru Watanabe asked. What's so difficult about a motorcycle? Not to mention a Honda Coyote. What's wrong with the Honda Coyote? The global sales exceeded 100 million. But it didn't matter. Anyway, there was basically no one in Izawa village, not to mention he was there. Well, it's also interesting to let the princess take me. Toru Watanabe first rode the Honda Coyote to the road and then sat in the back seat. Miki Kujo sat in front of him. Don't worry, turn the throttle. Even if you fall, I will cushion you and not let you get hurt. Toru Watanabe said. Can't you carry me down or use your feet to support me before I fall? Miki Kujo turned around and said. Their faces were very close. Toru Watanabe could see the excitement and expectation in her eyes. Isn't that better? It makes it sound like I love you more. Don't say that. Miki Kujo turned around. Let's go. Miki Coyote out. Wait, slow down. In just 3 seconds, the front wheel of the car plunged into the canal. Toru Watanabe carried Miki Kujo and jumped out of the car first. The two stood there, looking at the car and then at each other. The motorcycle is not difficult. The difficult part is the Honda Coyote. Toru Watanabe's face was serious. What do you mean? Miki Kujo's face was cold. She wanted to be serious, but after saying this, she couldn't help but laugh. Toru Watanabe also laughed. Miki Kujo kicked his calf. Hurry up and pull it up. Yes. Toru Watanabe lifted the Honda Coyote back onto the road. The two sat down again. This time, before Miki Kujo turned the throttle, Toru Watanabe couldn't help but say, I've given you my favorite. Be careful. Your favorite isn't me. I'm talking to the coyote. Miki, why are you interrupting? Miki Kujo tilted her head back and bumped Toru Watanabe's head. Let's go, she said. Miki Coyote set off for the second time. The Honda Coyote carried the two of them and drove crookedly along the country road. Chapter 213. Without considering the complicated exams, learning how to ride a motorcycle on a deserted road was much easier than learning how to ride a bicycle. After taking the persimmons, Miki Kujo increased her speed to the point that her hair was blown up by the wind on the way back. This was something she had never experienced before. At this time, Toru Watanabe suddenly reached out and covered her nose and mouth. Miki Kujo was baffled. She turned her head and tried to get rid of the hand that was in the way. The next moment, Toru Watanabe buried his face in her back, where her bra button was. She suddenly understood why he did that. The slight tingling sensation on her nose slowly subsided after being covered by his hand. Under Toru Watanabe's hand, Miki Kujo smiled. The Honda Cub sped up and Toru Watanabe pressed closer to her. When they got home, Toru Watanabe continued to clean the house. Miki Kujo sat under the kotatsu, drinking hot tea and eating persimmons that were covered in frost. In the stove, the orange light from the burning firewood set off her noble presence and attached itself to her delicate and beautiful face. They were busy until noon when Watanabe's house finally finished cleaning. The four of them sat around the kotatsu, drinking tea and watching TV. Xiao-che, aren't you eating? Watanabe's mother asked while holding a piece of persimmon. When Uncle Hanma gave it to me, I only ate one piece. It was too sweet. Toru Watanabe said. The main reason was that it was too sweet. The second reason was that the persimmons had been drugged. The frost was the best cover. It didn't matter who ate more or less. With Watanabe's mother's personality, she wouldn't let food go to waste. The sweetness of the persimmons seemed to be within the acceptable range of the three women. They took small bites of the persimmons and sipped their tea. Amidst the sound of the burning firewood, they seemed to be enjoying the unique days of winter. After resting for a while, Watanabe's mother began to make lunch. It was mainly winter vegetables, but there were also grilled fish and duck. She quickly finished her meal. She had something to do in the afternoon. Xiao-che, after you finish eating, put the bowls in the sink. I'll come back to wash them. All right. After watching his mother leave, Toru Watanabe suggested to the two ladies, Do you want to go out in the afternoon? Are we going to the beach? Rin Kiyono asked as she held a bowl of miso soup that had been drugged. She picked up a piece of tofu with her chopsticks. No. Didn't Xiaolian have holiday activities to write? Yesterday, when he sent her back, they had agreed to go sketch together. If you want to go to the beach, you can go tomorrow. You want to climb a mountain? Rin Kiyono didn't seem very interested. Yes. I'm not going. I'll stay at home and read. Rin Kiyono ate the tofu and blew on the steaming miso soup before taking a sip. Her elegant and refined face revealed a satisfied expression. Toru Watanabe then asked Miki Kujo, "Miki, are you going?" "I'm not going." "Why? Aren't you not afraid of climbing a mountain?" "You asked her first. It makes me very uncomfortable," Miki Kujo said lightly. Toru Watanabe felt very wronged. "When did I ask her first? I clearly asked both of you at the same time, and then Kiyono-san asked if she wanted to climb a mountain first. Why did you ask both of us at the same time? Why didn't you ask me first?" Toru Watanabe decided to avoid this topic. It was meaningless to argue with a woman. He had to directly move her heart. That way, no matter what the argument was, the girl wouldn't care about it. He said, "Standing high in the wilderness, you can see terraced fields, water buffaloes eating grass, and hear the sound of the canals. If you're tired, you can lie on the picnic cloth and rest. If you're thirsty, I'll pick oranges and persimmons for you. Come on, let's go, okay?" Miki Kujo glanced at him and said coldly, "You only know how to use flowery words all day." This meant that she agreed. "We'll take a nap first. When we wake up, we'll go," Toru Watanabe said. Miki Kujo ate duck meat. It was obviously the same duck that she raised in the countryside, but it didn't taste as good as the one that Toru Watanabe treated her to. After eating, the two young ladies went upstairs to sleep. Toru Watanabe washed the dishes and watched Clogs on a Sunny Day by the stove for half an hour. Then he went upstairs and knocked on the door to wake them up. No one answered the first time, so he knocked a second time. When he knocked a third time, Rin Kiyono's voice came from inside. "Please come in." "Sleeping so soundly?" Toru Watanabe said as he opened the wooden door and went in. Rin Kiyono was sitting on the mattress on the floor with a quilt covering her lower body. She was stretching her waist, from her hips to her waist, and then from her waist to her shoulders. Her curves were indescribably beautiful. Toru Watanabe couldn't help but take a few more glances before moving his gaze away. Miki Kujo, who was sleeping on the mattress, was also slowly getting up. Her long, black hair was loose, and her alluring lips were slightly parted as she yawned. Her entire person was like a ghost butterfly that was flapping its wings, preparing to suck in the dew. "Did you sleep well?" Toru Watanabe asked again. Miki Kujo lazily nodded her head. Rin Kiyono let out a refreshing moan and said, "I'll go sketch too." "You're welcome, but why did you suddenly change your mind?" Toru Watanabe asked curiously. "I don't know why either. After taking a nap, my body suddenly felt like climbing a mountain." "It's nothing," Rin Kiyono explained. It seemed that the vitality medicine was taking effect. "Walking is also good for your body. Maybe when we return to Tokyo, you won't be as afraid of the cold as before." From now on, Toru Watanabe guided her to think in this direction. Then, question time. He was so handsome that no matter how hard he worked, others would think that it was due to his appearance. When he went to the cafeteria to eat, the staff couldn't help but take a few more glances at him. Who was this beautiful young man who was so thoughtful? "Yes, it's me, Kuin Watanabe." Rin Kiyono nodded her head in agreement and was about to sit up when she suddenly remembered something and looked up at Toru Watanabe. "What's wrong?" Toru Watanabe was shocked. Rin Kiyono couldn't possibly be able to tell something like the vitality medicine from his expression, right? He really wanted to complain. There was no privacy at all. "How long are you going to stay here and play dumb?" Rin Kiyono said coldly. Toru Watanabe was stunned. When he saw Miki Kujo lazily starting to change his clothes, he finally reacted. "Ah, sorry." He hurriedly walked out of the bedroom. "Playing dumb? That's too much." He really put all his thoughts on the vitality medicine. He never thought of watching the beautiful girls change into their pajamas in a daze before they woke up. Through the wooden sliding door, he could vaguely hear the sound of clothes rubbing against each other. Ah, I really want to know what color of underwear R-Sang and K-Sang are wearing today. A countryside student sketch without paint, easel, stool, frame, canvas, and other tools would probably be laughed at if word got out. What kind of sketch is this? All they had was an ordinary pencil, an ordinary eraser, and a sketchbook that was 16 pages long. The three of them met up with Xiaolian. In addition to the pencil, eraser, and sketchbook, Xiaolian also carried a water bottle that was almost half the size of her body. Say good morning to the sun, today is another ordinary day. Say good morning to the birds, today is another happy day. Xiaolian sang and walked in front, shaking the water bottle on her body from side to side. The four of them went up the mountain along the field path. On the left and right sides were low slopes covered with weeds. Between the slopes were terraced fields. Toru Watanabe broke a piece of green foxtail grass and waved it casually. When Xiaolian turned around to confirm that her subordinates hadn't followed them, she saw that he was holding a piece of grass. He also broke a piece of grass and sang a song that he composed himself, Green Foxtail Grass. The sky was clear and the air was soft. The gentle sunlight sprinkled on the fields. Even the withered yellow straw was enjoying the winter sun. Rin Kiyono was dressed in white, which made her shiny black hair look especially black. Toru Watanabe dared to swear to Sawamura that all the girls would be envious of her black hair, and all the boys would want to bury their faces in it. Rin Kiyono covered the space between her eyebrows with her hand and looked into the distance. The vast blue sky, the sparse houses, the dense farmland, and the isolated tram platform, that was where they came from. The sunlight seeped through the gaps between her slender fingers and kissed her beautiful white face. She withdrew her gaze from the distance. Beside her, Toru Watanabe was still talking about how in late August, the rice in the paddy field had grown taller and turned into a green grassland. He went down to the fields to catch snails and went down to the river to catch crabs. Miki Kujo nodded from time to time to deal with the chattering Toru Watanabe. Watanabe's little sister, Xiaolian, was walking in the front. Because she was singing while walking, she was now panting a little. "We're here!" Xiaolian suddenly shouted. "Here!" Rin Kiyono looked around in confusion. Behind them was the road they came from. In front of them was a tall patch of weeds. The grass had already turned yellow, and under their feet was a solid dirt road. It didn't look like a suitable place to sketch. "Go through this patch of grass." Without waiting for Rin Kiyono to understand this sentence, Xiaolian had already drilled into the weeds and disappeared from their sight. "What's going on?" Miki Kujo asked Toru Watanabe. "Follow me and you'll know." "You too, hurry up." In the weeds, only Xiaolian's voice could be heard. Her small figure couldn't be seen. Toru Watanabe went ahead and separated the weeds for the two. The two young ladies followed closely behind. When they passed by, the weeds rustled. They walked a few steps away from the mountain road. Just a moment ago, they were still in a ravine in Japan, but now it seemed like a grassland in its withered period. From time to time, they could hear Xiaolian's voice, like a child who couldn't wait to show off the secret base she found. As they walked, the area in front of them suddenly widened. A patch of weeds was flattened, forming a carpet of weeds. From a certain direction, they could see the whole village. The windmill on the distant mountain also became bigger. "It's here." Xiaolian obediently sat on the weeds with her legs bent. "Amazing." Toru Watanabe patted Xiaolian's head. "You actually found this place. You're simply the Columbus of Swamp Village." Being praised, Xiaolian was a little shy and satisfied. She put the big kettle aside and took out a sketchbook and pencil from the cloth bag. Just as she was about to start drawing, she saw that the three of them were still standing. She immediately put on a serious face like a first-grade elementary school student and said, "You two, quickly sit down." Okay. Toru Watanabe took out a picnic cloth from the bag and spread it on the weeds for the two young ladies to sit down. He and Xiaolian sat directly on the weeds. The tall weeds concealed their tracks. There was no wind, and the winter sun was warm. There was no better weather than here, no better place to do nothing and draw pictures. Apart from the blue sky and white clouds, no one could see them. The pencil struggled with the paper, making a rustling sound. After a while, Xiaolian opened the kettle, poured hot water into the lid, and sipped it. Xiaolian, have you finished drawing? Toru Watanabe asked. I've finished one. Can you show it to me? Okay. Xiaolian nodded obediently. Toru Watanabe took her sketchbook. The two young ladies sitting behind him also looked over the village, the farmland, and the house. The style was very childish, but it looked very similar. Ah, it's much better than Class 4's Watanabe's. Rin Kiyono covered her mouth and chuckled. Then, Class 1 Kiyono, can you let Class 4's Watanabe take a look at your drawing? Toru Watanabe said in a bad mood. Do you know what this is? What do you mean, what this is? This is asking to be humiliated. Whatever you say. Rin Kiyono gave him the sketchbook. Although the sketchbook wasn't finished yet, the outline of the village could already be seen. The style was more realistic. Okay, I admit that you're the best here. Toru Watanabe returned the sketchbook to her. You're wrong. I'm not the best here. Rin Kiyono denied. Huh? Toru Watanabe was stunned and looked at Miki Kujo. Rin Kiyono tucked her long hair behind her ear and said, Kujo-san is a genius at drawing. When she was young, before she received the guidance of a painter, she could easily copy the scenery in front of her into a picture. She could also dissect one kind of scenery into another and express it in different forms. Miki, you're so good. Toru Watanabe asked in surprise. Shouldn't I be able to do this kind of thing when I'm old enough? Miki Kujo said with disdain. After the textbook knowledge, was her talent in drawing also within the scope of the inherited memories of the Dragon Clan? Xiaolian crawled over on her knees and poked her head out from Miki Kujo's arms. I want to see it too. Miki Kujo was caught off guard. She looked at the elementary school student and her beautiful eyes widened slightly. Apart from Toru Watanabe, there were no more than 4 people who had touched her sleeves, let alone crawling into her arms. If it were any other first-year girl, she wouldn't have hit her, but she would definitely scold her with a cold face. However, this was Toru Watanabe's little sister, so she was her little sister. Xiaolian looked up and tugged at her clothes. Miki-san, I want to see your drawing. Miki Kujo came back to her senses and said with a straight face, Sit down, and I'll show it to you. Xiaolian obediently nodded with her nose and moved her butt. Let's sit down. Looking at the scene in front of him, Toru Watanabe was originally able to hold back his laughter, but Rin Kiyono directly laughed out loud, causing him to also laugh out loud. When a first-year child in an adult's arms was told to sit down, her first reaction was naturally to sit between the adult's legs. At this time, Xiaolian was sitting in Miki Kujo's arms. Miki Kujo glared at the two of them with murderous eyes, but when she retracted her gaze, it became helpless. Xiaolian, right? Yes. When I said sit down, I meant sit down on the side like this. Miki Kujo raised her eyes and aimed at Toru Watanabe, who was still laughing. Watanabe, sit down and show your little sister. You still need to demonstrate? Sit down. Tetsumasa Watanabe sat with his back straight, looking like an ancient Japanese warrior who was attending a pre-war meeting. Xiaolian, do you see? This is what it means to sit down and get up. So awesome, sitting down is awesome. Xiaolian held her face with both hands, her eyes shining. Xiaolian. Miki Kujo called softly. Xiaolian came back to her senses and pointed at Rin Kiyono with her little finger, imitating Miki Kujo's tone, and said, Kiyono, sit down. In the distance, crows were cawing. Their coarse and hoarse voices spread far and wide in the lonely winter sky. Miki Kujo laughed so happily that her voice covered the crow. Toru Watanabe, who was sitting down, held back his laughter and patted the seat next to him with a serious face, indicating Rin Kiyono to also sit down. Rin Kiyono pressed her aching temples. Why didn't it work? Xiaolian asked strangely with an innocent tone. Miki Kujo was still laughing and didn't have the strength to answer her. Rin Kiyono imagined herself as a kindergarten teacher, smiled and patiently answered, "Your brother will be obedient because he is Kujo classmate's boyfriend." Ha! Xiaolian's eyes widened. So it's because of this? Well, because of this, Xiaolian, you can't let people sit down casually. Sister Rin can't let Ache sit down? Xiaolian asked. This. Rin Kiyono looked at Toru Watanabe. Watanabe classmate, can I? Of course not. Toru Watanabe said without thinking, we are friends, how can I sit down when you tell me to? Rin Kiyono looked at Miki Kujo and said with a smile, do you want me to tell you if it's true or not? It's true, it's false, so what? Miki Kujo didn't care at all. A person's mind can't even be controlled by himself, I just need to see what he actually does. I admit that what you said makes sense. Rin Kiyono nodded. Miki Kujo still wanted to say something, but Xiaolian pulled her clothes again. Sister Miki, let me see your painting. Miki Kujo looked at Watanabe's sister in her arms and sighed. Quickly leave after you see it, understand? You're tuning in to the Narrate and Escape YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.